with the 2 homers. That's just so big with how much responsibility he takes on for this team. And it's just huge that he hung in there and looks like he's coming out of it.
The Brewers now sit third in the NL Central with a record of 25-26. Freddie Peralta will take the mound opposite of Paul Skeens tonight in Pittsburgh. First pitch is at 5:40.
ABC of Wisconsin is the largest apprenticeship program in the state, with more than 2,000 active apprentices in 12 different skilled trades. In the ABC apprenticeship program, you earn while you learn on the job, get paid to go to class, and graduate with a job in your craft, but without the huge college debt. Explore 12 different construction trades in one spot at buildyourcareerwi.org or just search online for ABC of Wisconsin.
After not receiving enough votes to ban it, the tush push is here to stay after NFL league meetings in Minnesota. Now NBC is reporting that Green Bay's organization didn't care about the play, but it was the league office that asked the Packers to front the charge to ban it. And finally, OTAs begin in Green Bay next week. For the Wisconsin Sports Zone Network, I'm Ebo.
How we looking? Yes! Yes! Always wanted to do this. Bill's got all these buttons back here. Applause. Let's crack a beer. Why not? Yeah. Button number 1 on Bill's little machine over here. Happy Friday. Welcome into the Bill Michaels Show. My name is Grant Bills, filling in for one more day. Bill will be back on Tuesday. So, again, I tip my cap to the way he planned this vacation. He left on a Tuesday night after his show, and he comes back. He'll be back on air, I believe, on Tuesday, unless his flight is delayed or something. He only forces you to deal with me in Austin for 3 shows, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. And Austin, you get to cruise in the studio by yourself today as I'm broadcasting live here at Bill's. I have to update you, Austin, on just a couple of things, because I think
I'm listening.
A reason why people, first of all, how are you this morning? Happy Friday.
I'm doing well. Just got in for Ebo's show, just finished OTL. It was Take Your Brat to Work Day today. Yeah. So about 7:30 this morning, a bag of 50 brats showed up to the station.
Dude, here's what I don't get, because I've never done mornings before, but a lot of people in radio do. They'll show up with brats and sauerkraut, or like I've rolled into work in the morning and there's a pan of lasagna. It's like it's 6:30. But these morning show people, it doesn't matter to them. It's like, yeah, I'll eat a casserole at 6:15 or brats. So I was a little bummed to see there were brats at work today, because I'm not there. And free food, Austin. That's one of the
free
things.
Free food is always great food.
Gets me out of bed in the morning.
Yeah.
Now, I suppose if I'm bold enough to eat, there's plenty of free food here at Bill's, but I don't know if I want to mess with that. But 2 things I got to tell you.
You can take a Red Bull for sure.
I
did say that yesterday.
I suppose I can. Maybe this afternoon. I stopped at Quick Trip this morning, picked up a delicious, very large cup of coffee. So I'm settled for a while. 2 things I got to tell you about Bill's House, Austin, because I think a big part of the reason why Bill is so popular is great sports takes, charged conversation about the Packers and the Brewers and the Bucks and the Badgers. But he also shares a lot about his life. You've heard this, I'm sure, while producing.
Of course.
You've heard stories. So a small thing, and then an update on what's been going on at Bill's House. So I think I have reached the age where I'm running into technological barriers. I can't figure out his TV unless there is a remote that's missing. Unless there is a third remote, I'm not going to be able to figure this out today. So I can't put Get Up or First Take on the TV. So that's thing number 1. Thing number 2, and I don't know if you're aware of this, there has been a raccoon that's been climbing on Bill's roof right outside his bedroom window, only to poop up there. Have you heard about this?
I have not.
So it's been this battle that he's been fighting. He's moved a trellis. He's trimmed a tree. This raccoon only goes up there to take dumps. It's not like it lives up there. There's no nest or anything up there. So I am, because he's in the Dominican Republic, lucky enough to do the show here. And like, if he needs me to bring in the garbage or whatever, he asks me to vacuum, I will. I didn't have to come into the office today, but I'm also monitoring the roof in case this raccoon.
One raccoon.
I mean, this is such a pity thing.
Is it a visible? Yeah. Is it visible out the window, like when you can see where he's doing said business?
It's directly outside Bill's bedroom window. And
that's hilarious.
You could say, well, it's just a dumb animal. It, wants to poo. There's something behind that where it's more than just a dumb animal. looking for like that's personal, don't you think?
Yeah.
Like climbing up
the same spot. You got to climb up the tree. There's whatever to get to the roof.
And there's plenty of forest. It's not like Bill lives in a concrete jungle. There's trees and there's plenty of secluded places to dump. And yet this raccoon has been choosing the roof directly outside Bill's bedroom window. So if there's any updates on that today, Rick comments on the live stream, the masked crapper. Yeah. So Bill, he also got a tree struck by lightning. So I think the tree is dead. There's never a quiet week over here at Bill's house. Never. So I'm keeping an eye on some of these things while he's gone. Loaded show today. Zack Hyprin at 10:35 to continue some Badgers discussion. And I'm sure Zack will find a way to give me guff for one thing or another. You know, Zack Austin, that's the way that it is. So that'll be fun. Steve Zautke, he's going to be back at 12:35 for the honest to goodness Indy 500 preview. We talked about the Penske news earlier this week, but Austin, you are sending me updates about the Wiener mobile race. They're racing them in Indy. Am I reading this correctly?
Yes. At 1:00 today, there will be the Wiener 500.
What's the top speed on one of those things?
So actually we looked at it today.
Excellent.
It says 100 miles an hour at this point. They deck them out for this race. I can't find anywhere how long this race is, how many laps it is.
Do they have to turn? Going 100 miles per hour is one thing, but turning even slightly. I know they bank the turns, but still.
Yeah, I have no idea what I'm setting up for. I think a pregame starts at the race is at 1. Sorry, I'm bad at math. 12:30. Pregame starts at 12:30. I'll be tuning in and hopefully getting a little more details. And I'm very intrigued. There's 6. So this is the first time there's 6 Wienermobiles in the same spot in over a decade.
I think I saw a tweet, and maybe you were the one who sent this to me, where someone was concerned. It's like, well, if there's a wreck, like, shouldn't we have a designated survivor somewhere? Like, can we keep one of the Wienermobiles safe somewhere? And I know they're all over the place all the time. Like I'd see him at the Walmart in La Crosse, or you'd see him around Madison. But I'm a little nervous. We're a little vulnerable to attack. Or some side of a catastrophic accident if something happens. So we can ask Steve about that at 12:30 as well. And
they also, they got 6. The 6 cars are each representing a different type of hot dog for each region, which is fun. It's like
it's a souped up version of the Brewers sausage race.
That's exactly what it is. Yeah.
By the way, not just to completely just fill the first segment with non sequiturs, because I do want to get into the Brewers and what happened last night. But I don't think we talked about this. I went to Iceland back in March. My significant other won a work trip and I got to go. And we went to a bar where the bartender was Polish. So I'm sitting there with all of her work people. They're discussing work things. And I'm like, well, I'll try to talk to the bartender. And I said, we're from the United States. And he spoke well enough English. And I said, actually, and in my head, I'm like, this could go poorly. I said, actually, the town I'm from, their baseball team races sausages. And there's a Polish sausage. We love Polish sausages. And this guy goes, oh, kielbasa. And I'm like, yeah. And he's like, can I see a picture? And I showed him the picture. And I think he went from excited and honored to really confused, because the bratwurst looks German and the chorizo, almost stereotypically so, looks, Mexican or some, some Latin American country. I don't know where chorizo originates from. It may be Central or South America. I don't know. And then the Polish sausage is like, he's in a t-shirt and shorts. There's nothing Polish about, but I also don't know how you dress up a Polish sausage. So he was excited. He appreciated our appreciation for his country's sausage at the very least. And then I showed him the picture and he's like, okay, well, maybe you guys are not the ball knowers when it comes to kielbasa and Polish sausage that I thought. So I've been thinking about that interaction a lot. This is just the things that I think about when I'm trying to fall asleep at night. We'd love to take your calls today. 608-321-1670. Austin's manning the phone in the studios, and you can comment on the live stream. As Bill tells you every day, YouTube and Twitter and Instagram and Twitch and Kick and all the places where you normally watch the show. I'm trying to keep everything the same this week. So the Brewers won last night, Austin.
They did.
Christian Yelich hit not 1 home run, but 2. And in fact, I think I saw Dom Catronio last night. This just speaks to the futility of the Brewers offense. I think that was only the second or third time the Brewers had a home run with 2 or more runners on base. And I'll scroll back because I remember exactly. It was Dom Catronio of the Brewers flagship tweeted this at the beginning of the game last night, and I just could not believe it. Only the 4th homer by the Brewers with 2 or more men on base this year. Holy crap.
That's not great.
No. Well, and remember last year, how many 3-run home runs did William
So
Adams
many.
Exactly.
So many.
Exactly.
How many? You were the Grand Slam, that your team was the Grand Slam team.
That's right. It wasn't just the 3-run home runs.
It wasn't even just a 3-run home run.
Oh my God. So, and maybe Austin, that was I'm sure a little bit of luck. right? You can speak to Adames had a great year and Yelich, when he's healthy, had a great year, but that doesn't happen also without a little luck, right? So the Brewers are probably experiencing the other side of that luck coin this year. They're also just not hitting the ball. So look, if you hit a bunch of home runs, you put yourself in a position to be lucky. If you don't hit any home runs, well, you kind of get what you get. This is a statistic that if you're not aware of this, Austin, will absolutely floor you and Brewers fans who are listening. Christian Yelich is hitting 192 on the season. He has a WAR of minus 0.2. We were looking at his StatCast page, his Savant page yesterday. It's bad. Okay.
It's not great.
After last night, guess who the Brewers leader in both home runs and RBIs is?
Well, judging by the nature of the question, it's Christian Yelich, isn't it?
I'm assisting you to this answer, but that's
Christian Yelich.
Doesn't that just put this Brewers team in a nutshell?
Yeah. That's crazy.
I mean, Jackson Chourio has 26. See, this is the sad thing is we've bemoaned the struggles of Yelich and Chourio and Contreras, but the finger's a little bit explainable. And yet they're 1, 3, and 4 in RBIs for the Brewers. So those guys who have struggled so poorly are still leading the team because, no surprise to you, no one else is hitting.
Yeah, I'll say this. Just the role players, like I've said this week, the role players that the Brewers have right now are not to the same level that they have been in previous years.
No.
So granted, now that the whole team is not hitting, it's still going to be your top players that are carrying the weight, even if the weight is like half a pound, like
they're still carrying the weight. Yeah.
They're still carrying the weight. It's just, a lot smaller.
Well, I mean, think last year, let's just talk about the first half. I mean, we were making a case that Joey Ortiz should have been an all-star. And I don't think it was a serious case, but the numbers were close enough where Austin, I think half the time, if a player is in consideration for being an all-star, if you can just have the conversation, that's a win in and of itself, right? Like even if they don't end up qualifying for the game. And I think Terang, just for the first half alone last year, probably should have been Arise made it. It's like, okay. But Ortiz was close. That just speaks to the difference in season that he had last year versus this year, bottom of the order guy. And then so Ortiz moves over to short, becomes more important. Durbin's at third, who I know he's had some nice moments, but I think you know where I stand on Caleb Durbin. He just doesn't hit the ball very hard, and he's limited defensively, right? So all these role players who were pretty darn good last year, Ortiz in the first half, Terang especially in the first half, but Terang pretty good throughout, and I think he's for the most part had a fine season. Those guys, Ortiz, third base, Isaac Collins, right? Like Blake Perkins was awesome in the first half last year. And they've been riding with, Frelick, who's been fine, or Isaac Collins, who's actually been better than I would have guessed. But was last night to you with what the Brewers did, Yelich 2 home runs, Ortiz hit a home run, and the Brewers won by 3. Was that more about the Brewers, or Brewers fans, should we take a little bit of a breath and realize that it's more about the Pirates?
I would say it's a little bit of both. I mean, the Pirates, they are very bad, but they're also in the realm of it's more if they can't hit the ball. Their pitching has been solid enough. But yesterday, obviously, it was a guy making his first start of the year. So you got hit around a little bit. But I think at this point, you just got to take any positive. So we're going to roll with it's the Brewers. Yelich hit 2 homers. You got to take that as a positive and not be, it's the Pirates. Any production from Yelich right now is good production.
Well, and I saw Murph last night after the game, and maybe we'll tap into this and listen to a little bit of Murph at some point during the show. But he tweeted last night. This is Hunter Baumgart, who covers the Brewers for the game in Milwaukee, the Packers flagship. The quote from Pat Murphy, again, maybe we'll listen to this, on Yelich's 2 home runs. Quote, "That's just so big. With how much responsibility he takes on for this team, it's just huge that he hung in there and looks like he's coming out of it." Do you think Murphy is jumping the gun or being unfair by saying, all right, yep, now he's getting it going. Like now he's coming out of it. The first, game where he has a couple hits, a couple home runs, he's like, all right, there he is. Yep, he's back. Like Murphy, I think, trying to will it into existence.
Yeah, probably jumping. I mean, I think you don't have to say he's back or like say that. Just say he took some good at bats today. Hopefully we can build off that. I feel like that's probably the better way to go about that.
Well, it's a long season. It's just about stringing good at bats together, one after another. Keeping the good
something like that. Yeah, keep it more textbook answer, I guess.
Murphy's never been one for textbook answers.
No, not at all.
I love him because as a radio producer and a host, like any content that I can get in June or July when things are slow, if I can do a segment about something Pat Murphy said, great. But like we were used to Craig Counsell the last couple of years, and you're a Cubs fan, Austin, which I don't hold against you. Truly, I don't. But counsel would say something like, well, yeah, Christian has, Christian hasn't hit. I think he'd be the first to tell you that. And he's, look, he just, it's about at bats. It's about stringing at bats together. And I think Christian's been around long enough. He does that. Like, it would be some, stupid answer like that, which, hey, Austin, I very rarely listen to Craig Counsell and think he's wrong or he's not being correct. Like, I think Craig Counsell, as boring as he is and as process driven as he is, he knows what he's talking about and he's correct. Yeah. And I can't always say that for Murph, but at least I'm entertained and we get some content out of Pat Murphy press conferences.
Yeah. I mean, last year was Craig's first year in Chicago, and I won't talk about the Cubs too much. But just to drive the point home.
Yeah, it's fine. Go ahead. A
lot of people were like, oh, yeah, Murphy goes out, wins man of the year. Craig, Cubs didn't do very good. They didn't make the playoffs. So a lot of people are like, oh, Craig sucks. Like, it was Murphy all along. Now I think we're seeing a little bit more of the process. Like, Craig Counsell, he got paid the highest contract in manager history for a reason. Mm-hmm. Like, it's not anything. He knows what he's doing. Like, it's not like he is a terrible manager.
But even a great manager, and I still believe Counsell to be one. Last year when they had a bunch of good hitters, no great hitters, and all of those good hitters had down years. Now this year, you had a superstar into the mix, and Brewers fans, you should know better than anybody. Look at what Yelich did in 2018. He powered that whole team. Go look at that lineup. And I understand that, like, Travis Shaw had some moments and Mike Moustakas had some moments, but it was Yelich powering the thing and everyone else kind of getting in and coasting behind that, which is, when you have a superstar and MVP level player like Yelich in 2018, or now seeing he's back, 2 home runs last night, or Kyle Tucker with the Cubs, like, it just makes everybody's life so much easier. So now Counsell this year, we were talking about this yesterday, Austin. It's probably like, yeah, I told you, we had a lot of good hitters who are having down years. We added a superstar, and now some of our average hitters or our good hitters are having above average years or really good years. Mm-hmm. Some of that is luck year to year, but some of Kyle Tucker there. And I think that's true of the Brewers too. If Yelich or Contreras or Churio, that's the point of optimism for the Brewers. If any one of those 3 guys gets going, it helps the rest of the lineup significantly. And we've seen 100%. That. It doesn't even have to be all 3. It could be one of the 3. We'll start there. Look, Austin, if one of those 3 gets going, the offense will improve significantly because that's how bad the offense has been. Now, I mean, holy balls, if you get 2, there's 3,
then you go somewhere. Then we're cooking with gas. Then you start having conversations.
Yeah.
I mean, the Brewers right now don't have a single player in the lineup that a manager plans around.
Yeah.
Not one. Yep. Like, you need at least one of those guys.
So we can get into that. We'll continue with that. Maybe a little Pat Murphy audio. We're going to connect with Zack Hyprin at 10:35. I got to show you the screenshot. I texted Zack this morning. I said, Austin, I texted Zack and I said, hey, Zack. And before I could follow up, he said no to whatever you're about to ask. I'll send you the screenshot. And he said, okay, what do you want? So we're going to talk a little Badgers at 10:35. The slow time here, because there's not much going on with the Packers. They'll convene for team activities next week. We can kind of bounce around and hit a bunch of random things. A little college football today, probably a lot of baseball, little Packers. There's a new Bill Belichick, Jordan Hudson story from Pablo Torre that I kind of want to pick at today, Austin. I think that'll be fun. Yeah. And then we'll also talk Indy 500 and Wiener racing with Steve Zautke.
For sure.
Down in Indy later on in the show.
I would love also to get a little WNBA section from last night. I like following the heated rivalries that's happening right now.
And the analysis. It really gets people fired up. So absolutely. I'm down for all of that. And we'll take your calls and texts as well at 608-321-1670. We'll take a break. Come back. Continue the Bill Michaels Show next.
This is the Bill Michaels Show on the Wisconsin Sports Zone Radio Network.
Across Wisconsin, June 27th and 28th. Don't miss the excitement on the main stage. Friday night, it's Texas Hippie Coalition. And Saturday night, Drowning Pool. Tickets are on sale now. Want more? Follow Big River Rally on social or go to BigRiverRally.com.
Bill Michaels will resume in 3 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 2 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 1 minute. Bill Michaels will resume in 30 seconds.
Welcome back. It's the Bill Michaels Show. Come on, give it. Yeah, there we go. Great Bill sitting today, producer Austin alongside. They never should have let me have fun with this little soundboard, Austin, that Bill's got. Holy cats. And Austin now joining me on the live stream as well. You can comment, follow along the show, YouTube, Instagram. I mean, Bill's on like 6 billion platforms. He's got the sheet in front of me here. YouTube, Twitter, Instagram, Twitch, Kick, LinkedIn, all of the places. And I'm pulling up the text line right now, too, if you want to text the show and call. It's the same number at 608-321-1670. Austin and I beginning the show with just a little Brewers breakdown of what we saw last night. How long was the rain delay? The game ended up taking all in all, and they called the delay in the middle of an inning. And I think the umps really wanted to see if Carlos Rodriguez could close out the frame, but it started raining so hard, and the tarps were out over the bullpens, and it's like, well, what are we even doing? And it was clear Rodriguez couldn't grip the ball, and it had just kind of become a little bit of a clown car of a game. The game time itself was 2:42 p.m., but I think, and Todd Rosiak put this out,
I believe it was about an hour and 55, close to 2 hours.
Hour 55. So the game took, let's see here. Come on, Todd Rosiak. You didn't post the total time of the game. That's terrible. Maybe Adam McCalvey did. But yeah, I'm not going to lie. I stopped watching. I watched the Wolves and the Thunder. A little disappointed by that game, Austin. I kind of wanted to see it get tied. I want that to be a real series. Part of me still is skeptical about how good and how ready the Thunder are to win, but maybe I shouldn't be. Maybe they are that good. Sometimes an NBA team wins a championship, Austin, and then you look back and you think, oh, so they were the best team throughout. Their point differential was the best. Their net rating was the best. Offense, defense was the best. Why did we ever doubt them? Right?
Yeah.
But for every team like that, there's the early Budenholzer Bucks who look like the juggernaut throughout, and then they run into a team in the playoffs with more experience or more star power. And I thought that maybe that could be the Wolves for the Thunder, and it just doesn't seem, at least through 2 games, like it will be.
In my opinion, the Wolves are in the same tier as those Thunder in terms of experience. Like, this is the second year the Wolves are making a run at it.
Yeah.
Same. And then same with the Thunder, I would say. I think the Thunder are really good. I think they have it going into the playoffs. Of the top 6 teams with odds, the top 6 odds to win the championship, Thunder are the only ones left. Like, this is their year. With the parity that we've seen surrounding basketball, I feel like really the Warriors are the only team that's won multiple championships in the last decade or something.
Yeah.
Like, so besides them, any team can have their year. So it's like this window for the Thunder we saw with the Celtics. Like, we thought the Celtics were going to walk to the finals a couple of weeks ago. I feel like the majority of people did.
When it became clear that the Cavs didn't have it, for whatever reason, but play style, injuries, whatever. When it became clear that the Cavs didn't have it, I thought, okay, well then no one's beating the Celtics, because I thought the only chance that anybody had to knock off the Celtics were the Cavs. So when the Celtics, I mean, it was clear they didn't have it. I'm like, okay, so Boston's going to cakewalk to the finals, because they had blasted the Knicks 4 or 5 times in the regular season. Like, I didn't think it'd be close, but now I'll tell you what, Austin, I watched the Pacers. I'm like, man, they move way faster. They're more explosive. They move the ball better. I don't know if that means they're more talented than the Celtics. Yeah. I think talent sometimes can be a little overrated. Like, oh, the Celtics have 2, top 10 players in the league, or however you rank Jason Tatum and Jaylen Brown. Okay, but we thought the same about the Bucks, and I still believe it with the Bucks with Dame and Giannis, but I just don't think that gets you as far in today's NBA as it used to once upon a time, which I think is a good thing. Play style should matter, and ball movement, all the other things. Like, I'm down for that mattering. It just means that probably the most star-studded teams might not be the last team standing, and we need to get used to that.
100%. Yeah, I think it's much more of a team game per se. I mean, it's always been a team game, but when it comes down to the star power, a star can't carry a team to winning a championship anymore. Like, the days of LeBron taking that 2016 or 2017 Cavs or 18, whatever, the days of those are over. Like, that's not going to happen again. The NBA is too good at this point.
And part of that might be just because none of these guys come close to LeBron. And hey, to all of you who are listening, and those of you on the live stream, I know Bill's not a big LeBron fan. Like, you don't have to like him. But I think the difference between LeBron at his peak and, I mean, even Jokic, who I think is the best player in the league right now, like, it's just not the same.
No.
I mean, that man
LeBron just got 6. LeBron just got 6th in MVP voting at 40.
Yeah.
Like,
yeah, exactly.
This guy was unreal.
So the league has changed. I also think the guy who we thought of as the best player and the superstar of the league, I think, is so much better than whoever it is now. I think it's Jokic. But Giannis is right there. And I tell you what, I've been really impressed with SGA too, because we've seen deep teams, young teams like the Thunder, led by a star, get into a playoff series and the game slows down and the free throws don't come as easy. And I've been really impressed with Shai Gilgeous-Alexander. How could you not be? And I kind of, I guess at some point thought that the other shoe was going to drop with the Thunder, and it just hasn't yet. Their defense is probably the best unit and the best, I guess the best strength of any of the teams remaining. I want to see the Wolves and the Thunder become a real series. I was talking to a buddy who's a Wolves fan last night, and he's like, yeah, the Thunder they might be too good. And I told him, look, I thought the same thing when the Bucks and the Suns were playing in 2021, and the Suns went up 2-0, and I'm like, man, they're just too good. You just need to get one.
You got to go got to go win the home game. Old saying, series doesn't start until the home team loses.
That's why you're producing, Austin, is for wisdom like that. And it's true. But then you have to win game 3. Yeah. You know what I mean?
Obviously it must win. And you got to go win the next 2.
It doesn't need to be pretty. It just needs to be a win. And we saw that with Bucks Nets too, in the same playoff run. The Bucks fell behind 2-0, and then they won game 3 barely. It was that ugly, like the final score was like 80-85 or something. It was just a puke fest, but it was a win. It was the start of something. So in the interest, not necessarily of pulling for either the Thunder or the Wolves, but in the interest of having the most competitive postseason possible. I would like to see that become a series because I think Pacers-Knicks will be a series.
100%.
I think it already is a series.
Yeah, I think that's going 6 or 7 minimum.
I hope.
Like, I really,
because we didn't get that last year. It was Celtics in 5. It's like, okay, like you're the best team, but I want to see the best team pushed. I want to see them go back and forth, and I want to see momentum shift and all that stuff. So we can pick this up when we come back. We're gonna converse with our sports director Zack Hyprin. He does the camp with Jesse Temple, who we talked to yesterday. So we're going to talk about King Liggins, a recruit that the Badgers wanted, ends up going to Bielema. Talk about maybe the dynamics in the Big Ten and what that tells us. And also, Austin, now you don't know and I don't know Zack to be an over-the-top positive person. I'm not saying he's a jerk, but he is not someone to blow smoke up the butts of fans of certain teams. But on the camp this week, positivity. All right, what is there to be positive about? What is there to be excited about? So we'll talk about those things with the Wisconsin Badgers and around college football as a whole and whatever else comes up. Zack Hyprin, our sports director on the flagship WOZN, going to join us next on The Bill Michaels Show.
Covering Wisconsin sports like a blanket, this is The Bill Michaels Show on the Wisconsin Sports Zone Radio Network.
Bill Michaels will resume in 5 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 4 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 3 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 2 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 1 minute. Bill Michaels will resume in 30 seconds.
Welcome back. And happy Friday. It's crack a beer. Oh, yeah. That feels nice. Maybe a delicious drop dead blonde from Point Brewing. I think the biggest star of the week. I'm here, by the way, it's hallowed ground. There was a Netflix documentary that came to the studio here at Bill's house to record for the Fall of Favre. And it wasn't just Bill who was the star of the documentary. If you're watching on the live stream, YouTube, Facebook, Twitter, et cetera, you can see this fine Stevens Point Brewing neon sign behind me. How about that? And all the free run in the Netflix doc. So hell yeah for Stevens Point. I might be crack. Having a little too much fun, I think, today with Bill's soundboard. We are efforting towards Zack Hyprin and getting him on air to talk a little bit about the Badgers and the offseason they're having. And it's a little bit of a quieter period, but there was some recruiting news or recruiting development this week. A recruit that they really wanted. It was down to Bielema and Fickle, Wisconsin and Illinois. And he ends up choosing Illinois, which isn't shocking. He's from Chicago, but still a little kick to the seeds. And I was reading a little bit of our friend Ben Kenny, Badgers Wire, talking about it. And Zack Hyprin, our sports director, an excellent resource. I'm being told by executive producer, intern Austin, that we have Zack. Zack, happy Friday. Are you there? Is this working okay?
Oh. Yeah, intern Austin got it going. Still trying to figure out how to call out. I believe he's been with us for a couple years. So
I've made the call 100 times. I don't know what happened with that phone just now. I've called people 100 times. I don't know.
I should have told Austin. I dropped the phone and broke the headset when I was doing the thing where I hold it between my chin and my shoulder. So I went to the Ben Kenny Memorial Producer Studio to steal the other phone and plug it in. And for whatever reason, it doesn't like dialing out. And I thought Austin knew that. So that's on me. I set him up for failure. So sorry about that, Austin. And thank you for working with us, Zack. So King Liggins, is this something? It's the class of 2026. It was between Illinois and Wisconsin, Bielema and Fickle. Is that one that we expected to go towards Wisconsin and we were surprised? Or tell me about this saga, because I was very plugged into this announcement the other day.
Clearly. Was
I the only one? Come on. I'm following my team.
I love the name. I love the name. King Liggins. I love the name. So Wisconsin obviously was on him for quite a while, and priority is probably maybe too strong a word, because he was a guy that they obviously wanted. Illinois did not offer until January, and then really put on the full court press and was able to get him to stay home. Is this a huge loss for Wisconsin? You look at the ratings, and you would say probably not. He's like the 92nd ranked defensive lineman in the country. He's barely a top 1,000 recruit in the country. But when you go against another Big Ten team, especially one like Illinois, you want to win those matchups. But again, the dude is from Illinois. Brett Bielema should win more of these than he has. Wisconsin's taken a ton of kids out of Illinois the last few years, guys that had offers from Brett Bielema. Grant Steck was a four-star tight end. Darian Dupree, who's going to be their lead running back this year, is from Illinois. Austin Brown is Fickle, but Bielema was there, and they beat them for him as well, and he's going to start this year. They got a four-star recruit in Jalen Williams coming in, I guess here in the next week or so, or he might already be here. They've beaten Illinois a bunch for Illinois guys of late. I wouldn't necessarily be freaking out about the loss of King Liggins other than not getting that name.
Not getting that name, and it's the fact that you lost him to a rival in the Big Ten. And then he's also joining, there's two guys, James Thompson Jr., and then who's the other one? Kurt Neal. So there's between transfers out of Wisconsin and then recruits that were also on Wisconsin's radar, that defensive line in Illinois is pretty darn sturdy. And Rhett Bielema, I talked about this with Jesse yesterday. He just has an idea of what it takes to win in the Big Ten and how to go about it. And their schedule this year is really conducive to a great season. Like, that's a team that could potentially achieve at a really high level and maybe even be a playoff team, right, Zach?
You do it in Indiana.
Yeah, exactly.
Where you take advantage of a really bad schedule, play absolutely nobody, lose to the teams that are any good that you play against, and get in the playoff. So yeah, that's certainly something that they have an opportunity to do. Whenever you bring a quarterback, it's the third year he's going to be there, right? Mm-hmm. So getting him back in the fold, they had a really good season last year, and they didn't. I don't know that they really necessarily beat anybody, right? But they got, like, what their schedule is last year and this year is just the opposite of what Wisconsin has to face. Which, again, the Alabama game certainly sticks out, but the Big Ten to do Wisconsin no favors with their conference schedule, and things ease up a little bit next year for Wisconsin. And you would hope that some of these other teams are having to play perhaps a similar tough schedule. I think the last time I saw it, Wisconsin has a fourth hardest schedule in the country.
One more thing on King Liggins, and I was telling Austin this the other day, and this is just a little bit of the way you think as a radio person. Had Wisconsin gotten this recruit, Zach, I don't know that I would have brought it up. I think it's a more compelling radio topic for them to lose him to a rival than to actually get him, because to your point, what is he like? Is he even a top 100 recruit in the country? He's a 3-star. He's a fine player. You'd love to have him.
He's not even he's barely a top 1,000 recruit.
Okay, that's what I thought you said.
Yeah, he's a top 100 defensive lineman in the country, but he's barely a top 1,000 recruit in the country. Again, ratings don't matter. Wisconsin wanted him.
I would agree.
They lost, right? Like, yep. They wanted him. Wisconsin wanted him. I don't care what he was ranked. Wisconsin wanted him. Illinois came in late and got him to switch, and so that's a loss for Wisconsin. I'm just not going to freak out about it. I don't know if that's what Ben Kenny was doing. I don't get an opportunity to read him very often. So, but I don't think it's that big of a deal, but Wisconsin absolutely wanted him, so it is a loss.
Well, a bigger part of, let's say, the 2026 recruiting class, and I did read Ben Kenny's story about this, not because I sought it out, but because Ben, and I was telling Austin this yesterday, he has a real knack for getting his story to the top of your Google search. SEO, search engine optimization, I need Ben to do that for me. I want what he is doing for himself, for myself. But he was writing about, go ahead.
Do you think he's doing that? Do you think he's doing that by himself?
I don't know. I don't know what Ben does.
I think it has a lot to do with the company he works for.
I don't even know who I don't know who he works for.
Gannett owns that.
Oh, Gannett. Oh, well, that's a name that I know. You're more of a journalist, so you're in the loop on more. Of
I'm not saying Ben's not doing a great job. I feel like there's some assist there and have it in the company you work for, and the ability to push that stuff to the top.
He wrote about the 2026 class. Are we on track for a fine class, or is it time to worry about maybe how this class is shaping up? Jesse told us yesterday a lot of visits coming the next few weeks, so that's probably when we'll know more, or start to learn more, get a better picture.
Are we on track for a good class?
We are covering. Zach, we are journalists. We follow the team. Not we. I'm not on the team. We will get a better idea of their class. How does that sound?
So the last 2 years, they've been in the top 25. I think it was 25 last year and maybe top 20 the year before. They are not probably going to be there unless they hit some home runs here in the next month or so. Right now, the class is ranked 43rd. They don't have a single 4-star commit in the class right now, and the last couple of years they've obviously just been loaded in terms of 4-star recruits. So that it is a class that has some work to do. I will say that, and they have an opportunity. This is the May and throughout June is when you take all the official visits.
Yep.
The most of your class is going to be built here in the next 4 weeks. So there's a chance for it to go the other way. It's probably not going to reach what the previous classes have been. And when you struggle the way they have on the field, I don't know that should be a huge surprise.
Yeah.
But again, high school recruiting, while vitally important, still vitally important, not nearly as important as it used to be.
Zack Hyprin is here, our sports director, and you can hear him on the camp. And I want to ask about the camp, but very quickly as an aside, I just saw a graphic from 24/7 Sports. This edge rusher, defensive lineman from Chicago, Mikhail Blade, he's a 4-star. He just posted his top 7 schools. And I don't need this. No one needs this. Wisconsin, Purdue, Illinois, Stanford, USC, Michigan, Notre Dame. Just get back to us when you're down to 2 or 3, or just better yet, let us know when you've selected. Okay, I don't need the slow reveal like this is a competition show on Fox. You know what I mean?
I get what you're saying, and it also reminds me of the post I'm going to post after every one of these old man yell at the cloud rants by you is like of you in the studio when you're like 85.
Yeah, with the gray hair. We don't need the graphics. We don't need the graphics. We don't need the statements. You're not a government entity. You're not. It's just...
The dude has 25 offers, Grant. He is now down to 7 teams. That's a huge slice of teams off, right? So now now speaking of big time recruits, he's a big time recruit. He would be a huge win for Wisconsin. I don't imagine it's going to happen, but he would be a huge win for Wisconsin. He's a top 20 defensive lineman in the country and one of the top 5 players in the state of Illinois. He's probably not going to choose Wisconsin, but now that would be a story.
Well, he has comments about all of his top 7 choices at 24/7, which I can't read because it's behind a paywall. That's fine. But I just,
unfortunate.
7 is so many. So Zach, at the camp, you've done an excellent job with Jesse. You did a positivity episode this week. So all the positive things, which I want to be very clear. Zach is a delightful human being. You're not a miserable, negative person, but I think you're very real. You are not someone who covers the team, looks to prop them up, blow smoke up everybody's butt. So how did this positivity episode come together? Maybe give us just a little taste, if you would.
Well, I mean, it came together because someone DM'd me saying, could you guys do a positive episode at some point?
Sure.
Because let's be fair about it. There's a lot of negativity around this program. There is a lot of, and after the first 2 years, it's very easy to be negative.
Yep.
And you go message boards, you go Twitter, you go Reddit, you go anywhere. There's a lot of negativity. And so I get it from that point of view, and hand up, been very negative. And you just look at that schedule like, oh God, this season's going to be horrible. And so I wanted to take a different look at it and see if everything went right, if everything that they hope happens, what's the best case scenario for them. So we went position by position. Billy Edwards, could he have a season where it's like 16, 17 touchdowns, 5 interceptions, like a John Stocco year, I believe is what Jesse said. And Darian Dupree and company, they get a 1,000-yard rusher, which they haven't had since 2021. Could that, you get the running game going, and all of a sudden play action game with some of the receivers that you have, then it looks pretty good, could look pretty good. The offensive line all of a sudden comes together, it gels together, and it's opening up holes like the Wisconsin of old. The defensive line, you redid the entire defensive line, brought in all these 300-pounders. They stopped the run. They get after the passer on 3rd and long, and then you get some balls thrown up, and you let Ricardo Holman go up and get a pick. You get Preston Zachary, you get Nizer Forker. You make all these guys, if everything goes the way that the Badgers want it to go and the way it has gone in the past, perhaps you have a much better season than anybody's predicting right now. And so we went through the schedule. And you look at the first 2 games, which are you better win.
Yeah, right. You better stack those at the beginning. Yeah,
right. And you look at some of the rest of the schedule, and it kind of sets up tough. Like October's tough. Okay, the first 2, you get Miami, Ohio, you get Middle Tennessee State. You better win those 2, right? Then you get Alabama, probably not going to win that one. But you get Maryland at home. Then a very tough October with Michigan, Iowa, Ohio State, and Oregon. But after that, Washington, Indiana, Illinois, Minnesota. If you win the games that you're supposed to win, Middle Tennessee State, Miami, Ohio, Maryland, then you go and beat the teams that you normally have. Minnesota, Indiana. Again, Washington's not a team that you normally beat, but you've gone back and forth with Iowa. Mm-hmm. You're getting close to that 7 or 8 win mark, and then all of a sudden you're 8-4. And if you were 8-4, that would be a hell of a win and a hell of a season for Wisconsin. And maybe you pull an upset. One of those games in October where it's like you get Ohio State at home. They play Ohio State tough at home every single time.
They do.
Every single game has been tough. Right down, it's been a battle. I'll say that. So maybe that's the positive outlook. It's like 8-4, 9-3 is a possibility.
I mean, I would take that. I would lock that in today. So I'm going to listen to that. I'm going to listen to that episode this weekend. I'm going to kick back Memorial Day, 3-day weekend, maybe an ice cold beer. Maybe I'll release my list of top 7 beers that I'm thinking about drinking. Zach, do you think people would, and also, by the way, great conversations with fullbacks. I know a lot of Badgers fans are enjoying your conversations with some fullbacks. So that's something you're going to continue throughout the summer?
We are. We already talked to Matt Bernstein. We talked to him last week. Got Brady Ewing yesterday, which he was fantastic. He was on the field for a lot of big games in 2010 and 2011. Mason Stockey coming up next week. Thank you for that. I know you're.
I do love Mason.
Your good buddy.
Menominee Mustang.
Yep. I've already talked to him, so that's going to be coming out next week. And then, we've got some other guys planned throughout. The fullback's back, kind of.
The fullback is back.
It's kind of, right? Like, it's not necessarily, there's no position, there's no one named fullback on the roster, but Jackson Akers is going to be their fullback and do a whole bunch of other stuff. So the fullback is back, and I thought it'd be a good idea to get some fun stories from those guys because they played a huge role over the last 25 years, 30 years.
I know a lot of Badgers fans will be excited about that as well. Zach, I appreciate your time. Thank you for coming on. Enjoy as always. Have a great, long Memorial Day weekend.
All right, Grant. Thank you very much.
Of course, Zack Hyprin. Catch him on the camp with Jesse, who we had on yesterday, and a positive episode. You're just not going to get that a whole lot from Zach and Jesse. So if you really want that spin, and Austin, I feel like I'm doing him a disservice because I make him sound like the most miserable pricks talking about the Badgers, and they're not. But obviously the discourse around this Badgers program last 2 years has been more negative, and rightfully so. But that's not to say that Zach and Jesse, can't see the bright side of things too. So check out the camp this week for that and some great fullback interviews as well. When we come back, we'll wrap up hour number 1 of the Bill Michaels Show, and we can kind of reset things at 11 o'clock with some Brewers talk and what went on last night between Brewers Pirates and Wolves Thunder as well. And we want to talk a little more Pacers and Knicks. The NBA postseason has been very fun, a lot of unexpected results. So we'll get all of that. Hour number 1 of the Bill Michaels Show concludes next.
Covering Wisconsin sports like a blanket, this is the Bill Michaels Show on the Wisconsin Sports Zone Radio Network.
When having new Pella windows and doors installed at your home, you get the full Pella experience. That means we're with you from start to finish. Our team doesn't disappear after the work is done. Just like with Vinny, your Pella experience starts with a free in-home consultation.
It was a really comfortable kitchen table chat. We knew Pella was going to get it right the first time, and they designed a project with us. They didn't just replace our windows and doors.
With customizations driving limitless possibilities, our Pella experts truly listen to your vision, just as we did with Nicole.
I felt like they really listened to us. There's so many options that are available, so it was nice to have someone narrow those down, offer some suggestions, and they made sure that the design was what we wanted.
Don't wait any longer, because right now at Pella Windows and Doors of Wisconsin, get 0% financing for up to 6 years. Visit PellaWI.com today.
Certain restrictions apply. It's 5/31/2025.
Bill Michaels will resume in 3 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 2 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 1 minute. Bill Michaels will resume in 30 seconds.
Welcome back to the Bill Michaels Show. Glad that you're here. Happy, yeah, thank you. Austin, I'm having way too much fun with Bill's little soundboard.
I see that. I mean, I might be doing the same if I was there.
Well, that's the thing, because when I'm in your chair, I'm like, Jesus, Bill, he's got beer, he's got a play, he's got everything. And I'm like, take it easy. But then once you have this right at your fingertips to just fire away, like you can't help yourself.
Because he just has buttons right there that says everything, right?
Oh, yeah.
Like, we could do that, but we got to make a folder of everything and then have all the sound effects. It's so much easier and more fun when you just have a button.
Much more business-like back on that end when you're producing. So I appreciate you today working with us and being a part of the show. And we'd love to take some calls in the next hour as well. You're always welcome. 608-321-1670 in the live stream. YouTube, Facebook, Twitch, Twitter, LinkedIn, Kick, all of the... I think Bill's more techie than I am. I couldn't even figure out how to turn his TV on. Although he did text me, Austin, and he sent me a picture from the beach and asked if everything is okay. Should I ask, like, hey, how do you turn the TV on? How do I get ESPN on the TV in here? But other than that, the show is off to a great start. Cody Stutz, who covers the Texans, covers the NFL. He's based down in Houston. Just one of my favorite guests, and I just want to pick his brain about the draft and I guess some of the rule changes. I'm kind of over the tush push and the playoff seeding, but I suppose I'll ask because it's a news item of the week. Certainly top of mind for many football fans. So he's going to join us at the bottom of the next hour at 11:35. But when we come back, Austin and I are going to reset the show a bit with our thoughts on what the Brewers did last night. I have a hilarious Christian Yelich stat that I think will surprise many of you if you are unaware. And maybe react to Game 2, Thunder and Wolves last night as well. We'll reset the show and react to what happened last night. Next on the Bill Michaels Show, we'll get a 2-minute update from Zack Hyprin.
This is a Wisconsin Sports Zone update.
Well, despite a long rain delay down in Pittsburgh, the Milwaukee Brewers would beat the Pirates 8-5. Christian Yelich hit a 3-run drive in the first inning in a solo shot in the sixth for his 11th multi-homer game of his career. And Joey Ortiz would also hit his second home run of the season. On the mound, starting pitcher Aaron Zavala gave up 2 runs and 4 hits over 4 innings of work. It was his first start since going on the IL in late March with a strained hamstring. Manager Pat Murphy reacts on their win.
Yeah, Carlos deserves a lot, and Savali gave us 70-some pitches, and he's back in the mix. Feels good with some experience. Joey Ortiz, but Yelich with the 2 homers, that's just so big with how much responsibility he takes on for this team, and it's just huge that he hung in there and looks like he's coming out of it.
The Brewers now sit third in the NL Central with a record of 25-26. Freddie Peralta will take the mound opposite of Paul Skeens tonight in Pittsburgh. First pitch is at 5:40.
For nearly 40 years, ABC Wisconsin Apprenticeship has been helping men and women transform themselves into highly skilled trade professionals. These skills are in demand and provide strong wages and benefits for a bright future. If you're a hands-on person who likes the feeling when you get projects done, apprenticeship could be for you. Go to buildyourcareerwi.org or just search online for ABC of Wisconsin.
Well, after not receiving enough votes to ban it, the tush push is here to stay after NFL league meetings in Minnesota. Now NBC is reporting that Green Bay's organization didn't care about the play, but it was the league office that asked the Packers to front the charge to ban it. And finally, OTAs begin in Green Bay next week. For the Wisconsin Sports Zone Network, I'm Ebo.
Welcome back. Hour number 2 of the Bill Michaels Show. Happy you're here. Yeah. I am broadcasting live Bill's house today. Appreciate him letting me crash here. Although I'm going to keep an eye on the place. If he needs the garbage cans brought in, I could do that. And I do have to monitor the roof because the who commented earlier on in the show, the masked crapper. I think Rick and Spencer. Yeah, there's been a raccoon dumping on his roof right outside his bedroom window, which seems personal. I know it's just an animal, although raccoons are not stupid. I think he knows what he's doing. So maybe at some point, maybe one of the bottom of the hour breaks and I have a couple extra minutes, I'll run over and check the status of the roof right outside his window. Would love to take your calls. Always 608-321-1670. I thought Austin and I, producer Austin, intern Austin, back in studio. 3 years down now at the University of Wisconsin-Whitewater. Can you believe it? He's growing up. Yeah, give him a round of applause for Austin. Yeah, that's worth a couple claps. Last night, the Brewers went 8-5, and I think the story of the night is Christian Yelich hitting 2 home runs. And as I pointed out to Austin in the first hour, despite Christian Yelich's just awful season so far, he's hitting 192, and this is not a continuation of 2020 or 2021, as J.R. Radcliffe further reiterated yesterday on the show. This is the worst he's been in a Brewers jersey. I know we have an idea of, 18 was great, 19 was great, and then he tailed off a little bit. This isn't tailing off. This is something much worse than that. This season has been a catastrophe. But last night, he had 2 home runs, 4 RBIs, and despite his awful start this season, he is now the Brewers' leader in both home runs and RBIs. Happy for Christian for his big night, but that seems bad, Austin. Correct? That seems poor that our star that's hitting 192, who's been an auto out for long stretches of the season, is the leader in offensive output. That doesn't seem good.
No, definitely not. But like I said, like we've said, it's like when the whole offense is not performing, it's still going to be the quote unquote stars.
That's true.
That are carrying the weight. Just it's much lighter right now.
I guess that's more of an indictment on the rest of the lineup, certainly than it is on Yelich. Like the fact
100%.
that no one's popped up. And look, shout out to Rhys Hoskins, who's right there. I think he's a home run behind and a couple RBIs behind. He's been tremendous and probably a big reason why they're 1 game under 500. I don't think this is a team that has enough offensive output, and their pitching's been fine, but it's not dominant. You know what I mean? Especially their starting pitching. I think when their back end of the bullpen is right, that can be a dominant bullpen. When McGill is rested, Mears, Uribe, when those guys are rested, I think they can be dominant, truly. But they've been worked really hard, which means they lose a little snooze, a little oomph, maybe a little control, and they've struggled to miss bats. McGill's whiff percentage has gone down a little bit. Mears dramatically so. The first 10 performances, the first 10 appearances versus the second 11. He's appeared now in 21 of their 41 total games so far this season. He's tailed off. He can't miss bats because he's been worked so hard. So I think when the Brewers bullpen is rested and right, they can be elite. That's probably the only part of the team that can be elite. I don't think this offense at any point this year is going to be elite. And I don't think their starting rotation is ever going to be elite, even when they get healthy. I think they can be very solid. And I think they can win a lot of games with this rotation. But the elite portion of this team, or the portion of the team with an elite ceiling at least, is their bullpen. And they've been hampered because they've been worked really, really hard. So I think the offense, this goes without saying, needs to do more. And if one of those three, talking about this with Austin last hour, if one of Churio, Contreras, or Yelich can have a huge week, think of the difference that'll make. Ideally, all three of those guys are great, and all three of them are stars, and that's when this team could be at its best. This team has been at its absolute worst offensively. If you could just get one of those guys going, man, what a difference that would make. And I don't really care which one. I don't care which one. I think I would like to see it right now be Yelich, because I think Churio, just over the sample of 162 games, is better than he's shown. I think that'll course correct. Contreras with the finger, I'm not fully sure. I'm not 100% sure what to do with him, but he's shown this week, like, he's had a couple nice games, hitting the ball hard, and it seems like he, if nothing else, is managing and mitigating that broken finger, let's say. I don't know that he's going to be able to match his MVP level of production that we saw last year in the first 2 months of the season, ostensibly before he broke his finger. I would be surprised by that. But if he can be an excellent, really, really good at bat and hit the ball hard, okay, well, we might be working on something. We might be figuring something out. So the Brewers are back in action again tonight at PNC Park. I believe first pitch is at 5:40. So a little bit earlier start to get Memorial Day weekend underway. Austin,
great pitching matchup too.
Yeah, who is it tonight? Is it Skeens
Peralta?
Peralta?
Skeens.
Oh,
both aces.
That's
good.
It bums me out a little bit. I saw passing on McAfee late last week talking about, like, well, I mean, if we're really being sensible, the Pirates should just trade Paul Skeens now. I mean, if you think Brewers fans are tortured souls right now, imagine what it would feel like to be a Pirates fan at this point.
Yeah, they're in year 8 of a rebuild, and they have arguably the best pitcher in baseball, and they went out and signed Tommy Pham as their offseason acquisition.
At least they signed Tommy Pham. Look at the Brewers. So their infrastructure is just a lot better than the Pirates, but at least the Pirates like, well, we got to get someone, even if he blows. The Brewers like, no, I think Oliver Dunn. I think that could work. We'll just break glass in case of emergency and use Vinny Capra or Caleb Durbin. I don't know which glass we're supposed to break now, but at least the Pirates made a move. Like the Pirates, the next step of this 8-year rebuild, Austin, we joked about this yesterday, would just be getting a second good player.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter if he's a hitter or a pitcher. So you have Paul Skeens. Great. So we're off to a good start. Can you get one other guy?
Reynolds is supposed to be that guy, and he's not good so far this year. I think he's also around the Yelich territory.
He'll be good against the Brewers, but Brian Reynolds will always be good against the Brewers. And I believe he absolutely crushes Colin Ray as well, doesn't he?
Probably. I mean, there's a few guys that definitely can crush Colin Ray. Colin Ray is on my baseball team right now. That's
why I'm leaning on you. You're supposed to. You don't know matchup numbers for Colin Ray?
Not by heart. No, I don't know Brian Reynolds' stats against Colin Ray.
Yeah,
my mistake.
I'm kind of shocked that McCutchen is still in the league. O'Neal Cruz, he did have a double last night to left center. That was
that's another guy that
swing. I mean, he
thought was supposed to be a lot better.
Is he playing center for them now? Yeah, he's playing center for them.
Yeah,
I think that's.
And then who's their only other positive piece? While we're at it, is Mitch Keller. He's been solid for them. Another pitcher.
Well, Jared Jones is hurt, right?
Yeah, I
whatever
believe
his
so.
name is. Jack Jones, Jared Jones, Josh.
Yeah,
Jones.
whoever.
What's
Yeah, so Mitch Keller, who the Brewers seen. Yeah, tomorrow the Brewers will see him tomorrow. He's been solid, but he has a 1-6 record because the Pirates don't score. I mean, Skeens has a 3-5 record.
I believe last night was the first time in almost 30 games the Pirates scored more than 4 runs. 26 games.
And the irony is they still won. They still lost.
They still lost. I was driving home last night, so I was listening to the Brewer game, and it was, I believe, Lane Grindle and Josh Mauer. And they were up 3-0 at the time. They might have been up 4-1. I think they were up 4-1 at the time. So this was before it got delayed. And Josh Mauer made some comment where he's like, well, and the Pirates haven't scored 4 runs in 26 outings, so you'd sure like to think that the Brewers are going to be able to hold on to this one. And I'm like, why do you have to do that? I understand, like, announcer jinx, grow up. We're not a child, but also I'm like, yeah, but the way things have gone for this Brewers team, and
you don't gotta word it like that.
Yeah, right.
You did not have to word it like that at all.
You didn't have to say it like that. Paul Skeens, was his last outing his first complete game, or was that 2 outings ago? Because I remember everyone sharing the graphic because the Pirates official account put out a graphic where it's like, shout out Paul Skeens, and it was this unbelievable stat line. The Pirates.
He went 8 last game, and then 2 outings before it was 6. So
it must have been the 8.
8 inning must have been the graphic you saw. But,
and they lost that game, I presume.
Versus the Phillies. So yeah, probably he gave up only 1 run. But let's scroll back 5/18 is when it was. Yeah, 1-0 loss.
Jesus. Yeah, John Heyman, friend of the Bill Michaels show, 2 days ago. So this would have been on Wednesday. He tweeted, Pirates source. Paul Skeens is not getting traded. Quote, no chance, no way, no how, is the way I heard it, which is interesting. Is that what the person said, or is that how you heard it? Because you put it in quotes, John. Okay. While there's a bit of logic to such a scenario, superstars just aren't traded by anyone with 1 year service time, and the Pirates remain determined to build around Skeens. I don't think that's true. I don't believe they're determined to do anything. They don't spend money on anybody or anything. And that's why, like, I know everybody always in Milwaukee wants to talk about baseball getting a salary cap. And I have those feelings too. It just doesn't make for productive conversation because it's not going to happen anytime soon. And I would rather just talk about something else. I'm not just going to sit here and bitch about something that's not going to happen. But I could
also just argue at the owners that don't spend money.
Well, and that's the thing, Austin.
That's the bigger problem.
I actually think it might be. And I know Brewers fans don't want to hear that because every time Ken Rosenthal or Passan goes on a show and they're like, hey, Jeff, Ken, people who are close with Ken Rosenthal in baseball call him Kenny. I am not. So Ken, at any point, I mean, the salary cap, I mean, it's just ridiculous, the spending. And they always say, sure. But if we're going to do a salary cap, we also need a salary floor. And Brewers fans hear that and it's like, come on, I mean, why are you focusing on? Let's just focus on the salary cap. I think the salary floor. I think teams like the Pirates and even the Twins, probably to a lesser degree, the poll ads, I guess, who are trying to sell the thing. Like there are some teams, Brewers fans, you don't know what cheap is. And I know the Brewers don't shell out massive contracts. I think actually a lot of the time that's to their benefit because going out and throwing stupid money at players who don't deserve it, I mean, it just kills you. But the lack of money spent by some of these teams is just disgusting. And I'm a Brewers fan. So, like, if I can look at the Pirates and be like, Jesus, like, it's unbelievable to have a player that good and a pitcher nonetheless, right? Like, with a player like Jackson Chourio or Austin, you're a Cubs fan, so you can use Matt Shaw or Pete Crow Armstrong or whoever as an example. You have a runway with those guys. Like, I don't think Chourio or PCA, I think those guys are going to have solid careers and you can build around them for a while. With a guy like Paul Skeens, he wakes up one morning with a sore elbow and his career's forever changed. You know what I mean? Which is a sad reality of having a lot of stock or having a lot of value tied up in a pitcher, especially a starting pitcher. But it's true. It's really a bummer to see what has happened to some of these franchises. Like, what do you even tell yourself if you're a White Sox fan or a Pirates fan?
You don't look at the standings until Memorial Day, so you got a couple of days. Have you seen the Rockies record?
I see tweets on what they're on pace for, which is unbelievable.
They finished their 50th game yesterday. They're 8-42.
Holy balls. And you know what's funny? Bill brought this up last week. Guys, the Rockies aren't cheap.
No, they're actually some that have contracts tied up.
Yeah, stupid contracts. Like, why are they paying Ryan McMahon? The Brewers called them this offseason. I know this. I talked to multiple people about this. The Brewers inquired on Ryan McMahon this offseason, and the Rockies were like, over our dead body, you can have Ryan McMahon. And in this offseason, I'm like, okay, start the asking price high, but why are you guys so obsessed with the idea of paying Ryan McMahon $15 million a year to win? What are they on pace to win? 40 games?
Yeah, not even.
Yeah, not even at this rate. So the Rockies are one of the funniest teams in baseball because they don't win and they suck and they're stupid, but it's not because they're cheap. They paid the Cardinals to take Nolan Arenado off their hands. And you know what they did? They turned around and gave a mountain of money to Chris Bryant.
Yeah.
Like they're like, we got to pay the next guy.
That was crazy.
That's not talked about enough.
No,
and I know you care about
even
baseball.
if
we care about baseball, some people don't, but that was insane.
Yeah, that was an insane operation of business.
What was that? You want to trade Arenado?
Was unreal.
To recoup assets and to reset and then go off, but then don't pay the team that's taking him, and then turn around and spend more money on a guy who, like, I don't know. You can speak to Chris Bryant and his career a little bit better. You're a Cubs guy, but I don't know, man. Like, I don't know that was the smartest deal. If you have finite money.
If you already were paying Arenado, you should keep Arenado. Like, that was the dumbest thing ever. Granted, like, who am I? Bryant has been terrible. He's just been injury riddled.
Injury.
They obviously didn't expect that. But just looking at it from a term of business perspective, when you have Arenado and traded him, that means you should be entering a rebuild, not paying Chris Bryant, a star who, you know,
I don't even know what position he's playing.
I think he's on the IL again. I don't know.
Well, and I would like to think that those idiots in there, because the Rockies are bad because they're idiots. It's not because they don't spend. The Pirates might be idiots, but they don't spend. That's their biggest problem. The Rockies, I can only imagine in their meeting room up there.
The Orioles are the Orioles are the team that I think is the biggest example of the problem in the last few years. Yes.
Do tell.
All right. So,
or should we do this after the break? It's 11:16.
We can do it after the break. I just think
I will say on the Orioles, you lose 120 games or 115 games year after year after year, and then to kind of have one crack at it, like I would be so down bad as an Orioles fan.
Yeah,
we can talk about that. I want you to tell me why the Orioles are the biggest problem, Austin. Let's do this next after the break. Sound good?
Perfect.
All right, let's do that. Bill Michaels Show will be back in 3 minutes. I just want to stay on schedule because we got to get to Cody Stutes. We're going to talk some NFL football, draft, some of the rule changes. But when we come back, Austin is going to he's going to learn us a little something about small market dynamics in baseball. I'm excited for this. Bill Michaels Show. We'll be right back.
Covering Wisconsin sports like a blanket. This is the Bill Michaels Show on the Wisconsin Sports Zone Radio Network.
Bill Michaels here. Your two wheels revved up because here it comes. The Big River Rally where the river meets the road. It rolls into La Crosse on June 27th and 28th. Join us for a weekend packed with action. Stunt shows, a killer bike show, food trucks, all kinds of awesome vendors. Friday, Rod's River Run with Texas Hippie Coalition lighting up the stage that night. Then Saturday is the Big River Rally Ride. Miles and miles of pure freedom. Then Saturday night, Drowning Pool rocks the house. Grab your tickets right now. BigRiverRally.com. That's BigRiverRally.com. And I'll see you there.
Bill Michaels will resume in 3 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 2 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 1 minute. Bill Michaels will resume in 30 seconds.
Thursday night or Friday morning when you know you're about ready to launch into a 3-day weekend. And I understand, I don't want to be insensitive. I understand what Memorial Day signifies and what it means. But the day off, especially, it looks like the sun's actually out here for the first time in a week. Bill's in Punta Cana, which is why Austin and I are filling in. You're stuck with us. And he texted me today and how's the show going? Blah, blah, blah. I said, you picked a good week to go because it's been cold and raining most of the entire week. So hopefully this weekend gets a little bit better. Probably not at PNC because it rains just about every day there. If only the Brewers could have got rained out yesterday, they probably would have been able to save their pitching staff a bit, but they ended up winning 8-5, and Yelich maybe started to piece something together, at least the 2 home runs. That seems to be the way that Pat Murphy, that's what he said after the game. That's the way he sees it. Hey, he's coming out of it, which I think might be a bit premature, but whatever. Speak it into existence, Pat. Cody Stute's going to join us in 10 minutes. Houston football to talk draft. We'll ask him his thoughts. He's a huge draft guy, so I want his reaction to what the Packers did and now where some teams go, moving into the offseason in the summer. I know the Packers have team activities next week, and we'll connect with Mike Clemens for that. But Austin, right before we took a break, we were talking about some of the dynamics around baseball, and you were a ball knower, which is why I like hosting with you, especially during baseball season. So we're talking about how the Pirates don't spend and the Twins, and then there are teams that spend a ton, and that's problematic as well because teams can't compete with the Dodgers, the Yankees, and the Mets. But you said the Orioles might actually be the biggest offender, the biggest problem in baseball, and I'm excited to hear your reasoning for this.
Yeah, so the Orioles, looking at their record by year, they were bottom feeders for a while.
Oh yeah,
as franchises are. We'll start in 2021.
You can go back further. You can go back
to farther.
If you want to do
COVID season, we'll skip that.
Skip the pandemic, but go back to
17.
17. Yep.
Yeah, 17, 75, 87, 18, 47, 115, 19, 54 and 108.
Oh,
COVID season, then 52, 110. So 3 straight years, over 108 losses or more. 3 straight years with the pandemic in between where they also didn't make the playoffs. So 3 straight years they drafted well. They had top picks. They drafted well. All of a sudden, they build up this huge farm system, top farm system in baseball,
nice
even I think
core.
at some point. Yep. And then you see that in 2022, 83 and 79. I don't think they made the playoffs. It says they finished 4th in division, but that's something to build off of. I think that was the year Rutschman came up, who was their first overall pick, I believe.
And I think Jackson Holiday came up last year against the Brewers, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
So then 2023, they win 101 games with that core of Gunnar Henderson. Henderson came up in 23. Yeah. Henderson, 23, Rutschman. So yeah, they bring this core and they win 100 games, win the division. Then they don't win a playoff game. They lost to the eventual champion Rangers at home 2-0 or 0-2. And then they go out and they trade for Corbin Burns. Great move. Gradit, and he was their ace last year.
Performed
and they
well
won
in the playoff game too.
Yes, and performed well. They won 91 games, finished second in the division, made it to the playoffs. And then they lost in the wild card to I forget who. But they lost in the wild card, didn't win a game.
I don't remember last year.
Yeah, they did.
The Astros?
Royals. No, Royals.
You're right. The another
Royals.
small market team. God, that's brutal.
So then they lost to the Royals. And so then going into this offseason, Corbin Burns was a free agent. Anthony Santander was a free agent, who Santander was their power bat, hit 30 plus homers. And they refused to spend they refused to buy those contracts because they didn't want to pay Burns, didn't want to pay Santander. Burns even took a cheaper or like a cheap-ish deal for what the market was evaluating him as to go to Arizona.
Yep.
So why can't Baltimore do that? So then they replaced those guys with 41-year-old Charlie Morton.
Oh. Well, wily vet, though.
And then replaced Santander with Tyler O'Neill, who's batting 188.
Not great.
No, they gave him a $50 million contract. I forget how much Santander got with the Blue Jays, but not a crazy amount more. It was probably $100 million contract, something like that. It's just when you have a core like that,
that's your time.
Like that is when you're a small market team like Baltimore, who has been bottom feeders in the division for years. You see this core develop right in front of your eyes. Why do you not want to build around that? Why do you now say, no, we can't spend any more money? Why?
It's different for the Pirates because the Pirates, and the Pirates will probably never spend, but let's just use them as an example. Pirates ownership could say, well, what do you want us to do? You know what I mean? Like, we can throw $20 million here and another $5 million there. Is it really going to change much? And the answer, if we're being honest, probably no. That doesn't mean that the fans deserve to get nothing. But it's like, okay, are we spending to spend? The Orioles, if there was ever a reason to be like, now is the time to spend and here's why, you could write a paper on why. You know what I mean? Yeah. They have this young core and now is their time. So I'm with you about the Orioles. Their manager got fired already this year. I would make a statement, if you would allow me, Austin, on top of, may I piggyback what you just discussed?
Of course.
A little message to Brewers fans, because I get this a lot on my show. When we talk about the idea of going all in, trying to win a World Series before tearing it all the way down, only to then build it up, right? That's a strategy a lot of small market teams use. Or there's the strategy that the Brewers are currently employing, where it's like, we're just going to try to be very good every year. We're never going to go all in and we're never going to tear it all the way down. We're going to be in the mix and hope that one of these years is our year, right? So we're constantly on my show, at least, discussing those two philosophies. And I've often said, and it is my belief, and I'd like to hear your belief, that it's a horse apiece. I think you, in a market like Milwaukee, as a team like the Brewers, you have about as good of a chance of winning a World Series doing it either way. Would you disagree with that?
No, I don't think so.
And it's not a great chance either way.
No.
I think it's about the same. You know what I mean?
I would say, yeah. So teams that have done it, the Royals were the Royals were a small market team that built it up, won the World Series, tore it all down. Teams that are employing the Brewers philosophy right now, I would say the Rays are one of those for sure.
I think the Diamondbacks
to a degree for sure, that they pay their young players and then
they pay their own, but the Brewers do too. Brewers fans might not always want to recognize that, but they
make some moves. Like they went out and signed Burns. When the Brewers, like, they've made moves like trading for Willie Adames.
Yep.
So it's just different strategies for sure. I would say that probably pretty equal. I definitely agree with that. It's just, I think there comes to a point where you have to look at it subjectively, like each situation.
Sure.
100%. Like, I think there's a couple years where the Brewers probably could have gone for it more than they did.
A little bit more. I would tend to agree.
But then the bad side of that is they'll have a bad year. Then if they don't win it and they start going down, then what was it for is what you're going to say.
And I get a lot of calls on my show when we're discussing these two philosophies, because I'll be very upfront, Austin. I'll just say, I would rather watch a team that's good every year. And especially for this job, I want my team in the mix. Like if we're probably not winning a World Series anyways, and the odds are against it, I would rather try to do it this way, where the team is in the mix and they're worth watching, and we don't have 3 or 4 or 5 year stretches where they completely go in the tank. Okay. And I get some calls, and the calls get more frequent every year that the Brewers make the playoffs and don't do anything. We got to do it the other way. You know what I mean? We got to tear it all the way down. We got to be bad. So then we can build it up, and go all in. And a word of caution to Brewers fans, just look at the Orioles. They lost 115 games, 108 games, 110 games to make the postseason twice, and they never won a game. They lost 3-0 in the ALDS, and they lost 2-0 in the wild card, which has basically been the Brewers' fate. So I just want to make it abundantly clear for Brewers fans who might be sick of this sustained success strategy, bites at the apple strategy. And I get it. It's frustrating because I haven't won in the playoffs, but there's nothing that's guaranteed doing it the other way either. And I tell you what, Austin, I would be freaking depressed. I would be miserable if I spent 4 years of my life watching my team lose 115 games only to get the same result that we've been getting anyways, kind of patching it together with the Joey Ortiz and Caleb Durbins of the world. You know what I mean?
100%.
So I still tend to support this Brewers strategy. Doesn't mean they could carve out a little bit more money every year. They could have gone out and got Yoan Moncada. Could we get $6 million for Yoan Moncada this year? Could we do that? They were unwilling to do that. I don't think that would have completely derailed their plans. So I have my complaints as well. When we come back, we're going to get to Cody Stutes. He covers the Texans, but he's just one of my favorite football guests. And he was at the Combine. He's been on with me. He's been on with Bill before as well. So we're going to talk about storylines coming out of the draft, storylines coming out of the league meeting, and some things to watch as we kind of go into those lazy, hazy dog days of the NFL summer where there's not a ton going on, right? We'll kind of set the table for things that we'll be thinking about and kicking around in our mind for the next few months while we wait for training camp and eventually the preseason. Cody Stutes, Houston football, going to join us next on The Bill Michaels Show.
Ready? This is The Bill Michaels Show on the Wisconsin Sports Zone Radio Network.
At Potawatomi, where ways to win are endless, another chance to capture epic cash and prizes comes Friday, June 27th. It's the season finale blockbuster drawings. Watch your entries from Enchanted Spins, Unreal Treasures, and Boundless Bounty come together for drawings where $300,000 in cash and prizes is there for the taking. Be there to win your share. June 27th only at Potawatomi Casino Hotel, Milwaukee. More info online. Must be 21 years old to play.
When having new Pella windows and doors installed at your home, you get the full Pella experience. That means we're with you from start to finish. Our team doesn't disappear after the work is done. Just like with Vinny, your Pella experience starts with a free in-home consultation.
It was a really comfortable kitchen table chat. We knew Pella was going to get it right the first time, and they designed a project with us. They didn't just replace our windows and doors.
With customizations driving limitless possibilities, our Pella experts truly listen to your vision, just as we did with Nicole.
I felt like they really listened to us. There's so many options that are available. So it was nice to have someone narrow those down, offer some suggestions, and they made sure that the design was what we wanted.
Don't wait any longer, because right now at Pella Windows and Doors of Wisconsin, get 0% financing for up to 6 years. Visit PellaWI.com today.
Certain restrictions apply. It's 5/31/2025.
Bill Michaels will resume in 5 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 4 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 3 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 2 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 1 minute. Bill Michaels will resume in 30 seconds.
Welcome back. It's the Bill Michaels Show. Bill will be back on Tuesday. I know some of you are like, that day cannot happen fast enough. Yeah, I'm excited for Bill to get back too, but you're stuck with us in the meantime. My name is Grant Bills. I am normally manning the board as the show's producer. Austin is handling those duties back in studio today. Love hosting with Austin. Joining us now on the hotline, Cody Stutes, who covers the Texans. His site is Houston Football. His content is outstanding, but just one of my favorite football people. One of my favorite people to talk about the draft or to talk about certain matchups with. So a pleasure to have Cody back. Anytime I have a reason to chat with Cody, I'm going to take it. Cody, how are you? How is life? How are things down in Texas?
You're too kind to me with this wonderful introduction. I'm doing great. If I was any better, there'd be two of me. But I am having to stay at my mom's house for the holiday weekend because my air conditioner broke where I live. And if you know anything about Texas and air conditioners, it's more necessary than food. So that's not been fun, but we will overcome.
A nice family time. Look at it that way, Cody. Well, something I realized 10 minutes ago, and I'm like, okay, so what should we talk about with Cody? Something I realized is the Texans and the Packers had very similar drafts at the top. Wide receiver, O-line, wide receiver. And while I think wide receiver was probably a need on some level for both teams, like I was a little surprised the Packers used 2 of their picks in the first 2 days. And the tackle, I guess as well, I think the lineman for the Texans a little bit more understandable. But were you surprised or were Texans fans surprised that they go 2 wide receivers with the first 3 picks?
I wanted them to draft 2 wide receivers, but it didn't really hit me until about 10 picks before they picked Jalen Noel from Iowa State that they could just go ahead and use that other third-round selection they had on a wide receiver and go ahead and get one of the better ones. So I was hoping for 2, but it didn't dawn on me that you could go ahead and use those picks on the wide receivers. Look, I know a lot of Texans fans were excited about the wide receiver room a year ago. Stephon Diggs, Tank Dell, Nico Collins. That didn't turn out the way the Texans wanted it to. Diggs and Dell both had their seasons ended by season-ending injuries. Diggs is on the Patriots now. Dell's probably not going to play football anytime soon. So they had to do something with the wide receiver room, and Christian Kirk by himself wasn't going to be enough. So Jaden Higgins was the logical choice. Stares you in the face. You got to pick him at 34. But the next one, getting Jalen Noel, that was a bit of a surprise. I love it, though, because he is now the fastest wide receiver they have on the team, and they have lacked a speed element, a true, honest-to-goodness speed element to their wide receiver room for a few years now. And so now they have it. So it was a good move. It was very much, and the Texans like to be braggadocious about this, a stick to our board pick.
Of course.
As they would talk about it. Everybody loves to talk about how they stick to their board until 3 years later, you're like, well, that board wasn't built very well, and the draft picks weren't any good. Somebody likes to say that. But yeah, I liked it. I liked the wide receivers that they got. It's cool that they're teammates. It's also cool that they were two of the more impressive kind of tier 2 wide receivers in most people's eyes as well.
Yeah, and I remember we talked, it was maybe Wednesday or even Thursday before the draft, and I asked you some Packers-related questions because they had that selection at 23. And we talked about certain wide receivers. And if I remember correctly, you and a couple of other people I talked to during draft week were like, yeah, McMillan in the first round, there's a lot of upside there, but not a ton of people had appetite, if I remember you included, for a player like Matthew Golden at 23. So what did you think of the board falling the way that it did and then the Packers electing to go wide receiver there? The third one off the board in that first round.
I would say that 23 is kind of where Golden should have been going in this draft. I never bought that he was a potential top 10 guy. I never bought that he was really a top 15 guy. But, 20 on, I could certainly see that being the type of place where Golden should have gone. Look, if this was, the 2024 wide receiver class smashed together with the 2025 wide receiver class, I probably wouldn't have picked Golden in the first 2 rounds. But that wasn't how it shook out. Golden deserved to be a first rounder. About where the Packers got him is certainly a good spot. I have a feeling that if he had been available at 24, there'd at least been a team or two intrigued on maybe moving up to get Matthew Golden. I think the biggest thing for Golden is the ceiling is high. The floor is also really low. And so if he doesn't reach his potential, it's going to look really bad compared to maybe just picking a different spot or picking a different position or moving out of that spot, because there were some teams pretty interested in moving around in that back part of the first round. But for where Golden went, I totally understand it. I totally get what Green Bay's trying to do. They're going to try to get an alpha in there, a guy that clearly can stand out, be the number one guy that is, worthy of the targets and the yards and the conversation that are going to be associated with him that I don't know that they've totally had in that wide receiver room the past few seasons.
So tell us about Savion Williams, because he's down in your neck of the woods, TCU, Texas Christian. How many hours have you got in the car, by the way, from where you are? I don't know where TCU is, and I'm showing I've never been to Texas. How far away is that from you?
About 5 hours from me. So Texas is fantastic because from where I live in Houston, you could literally drive 12 hours west and still be in Texas.
Holy
which is a fascinating element of Texas. So Savion Williams, obviously TCU. I love college football. I'm a Texas Tech guy, so I obviously see a lot of TCU on the schedule every now and then. Here's what's crazy about Savion Williams. The physical, athletic, profile, he's built in a creative player lab.
Mm-hmm.
That's the thing that is awesome about him is the physical profile, the athletics, it's all big thumbs up. He just hasn't been a traditionally used and traditional wide receiver in his time at TCU. They hand him the ball. It's very Deebo Samuel-esque and a little bit different package. Deebo Samuel, a little bit shorter than Williams, a little bit thicker than Williams. It's a different packaging to use in a Deebo Samuel way. If you trust the offensive minds in the building, you'll find a way to get the ball in Savion Williams' hand, and you'll probably have some fun once you finally get the ball in his hand. I do believe there's a little bit more of a learning curve for someone like him versus some of the other wide receivers that got drafted. I think there's a little bit of a learning curve. But again, with Golden, the ceiling's pretty high for a guy like Williams. When you think about the athleticism, the size, and if he figures out how to play wide receiver at a really high level, that's something that could be very, very impressive for the Packers. And if you think about if Golden and Williams hit, oh man, you're talking about a really transformed wide receiver room to go along with whatever else is a holdover that ends up being good with those two guys. And the Packers, I'm not necessarily, paying for your rent with a scratch-off ticket.
Mm-hmm.
It's a risky approach, but if it hits, it's going to be extremely profitable.
Cody Stutz is here. He covers the Texans. His platform is Houston Football. You should follow his YouTube, and he's on Twitter as well, but just a really, really good talker of football, pro college draft. Did any of the rule changes intrigue you that they were voting on this last week? I'm kind of pushed out, but the Lions also proposed something with playoff seeding to kind of do away with the value of divisions. And the flag football thing, none of it really does anything for me, but I at least want to ask you about it because that's the story that's kind of top of mind in the NFL this week.
Yeah, I was going through the Texans roster trying to figure out if there were any flag football players on the Texans roster, and I was just like, no. I do think Derek Stingley is a sneaky flag football guy for the Texans, just because you're going to need somebody that can defend, that can play man-to-man defense, and then maybe flip over and play a little offense for you every now and then. And the teammates rate about Stingley, but flag football, I'm kind of with you. I'll worry about it when I get there. It only really affects 20 players max, 30 players max. So the effect there. I did not like the targeted attack on the AFC and NFC South with the changing of the divisions mattering.
Mm-hmm.
That very much felt like a targeted attack on the two southern divisions of football because they're the most recent examples of 9 or 10 win teams getting to host 11 win teams. I believe that's eventually going to happen where divisions don't get eliminated or don't get to the useless category, but their usefulness does get devalued a little bit. Division wins and winning a division should guarantee you a playoff spot. Should it guarantee you a home playoff game? Yeah, probably not, because especially most of the time, a team like, last year, the Chargers versus the Texans. The Chargers had more wins in a more difficult division, and they had to come to Houston. So I get how some people would view that as unfair. So eventually what was proposed, I think, gets changed and divisions do get devalued. I don't love it, but I also understand it. The one I'm really fascinated about is reseeding the playoffs after the first round.
Sure.
That's one that could have big-time ramifications, and I actually think that's going to get proposed independent of that division conversation that it got kind of lumped into, and I believe that's going to change really soon in the NFL because I think they want to maximize matchups as much as they can in the playoffs. And I don't know if the TV people are going to love that because there's some waiting and figuring out when that's fine. The TV people can wait. If they're going to get better matchups, they're going to be all for it.
Cody Stutz is here. And by the way, on the unfair thing or it not making sense, there's a bunch of things in the NFL where if you were to have to explain it to someone, they'd be like, well, why is it that way? You just go, well, because it is. Because it's football. Because that's the way the NFL. And I think part of that is fun. Like, I do like that sometimes it helps you and sometimes it hurts you. If you're making the playoffs and winning games consistently, you're going to benefit or you're going to be harmed by it. That's kind of how I think sports should work. There should be some fun kind of wrinkles or things like that. Lastly, before I let you go, if there's one team between the Jags, the Colts, and the Titans to rise up and challenge the Texans and be another player or contender in that division this year, who do you think it is?
It's Jacksonville. I like Indy's roster better, their overall totality of their roster. But I don't like their quarterback situation. I have zero belief in Anthony Richardson or Daniel Jones being a threat. But you look at Jacksonville, they have an argument for having one of the best wide receiver duos in all of football before Travis Hunter's even taken a snap.
Yeah.
Like Brian Thomas Jr. is already one of the best wide receivers in all of football. Travis Hunter's a freak. He's the best wide receiver in this year's draft. I know he's going to play a little defensive back. I don't care about that. He's a pass catcher. He's dynamic when they get the ball out there to him. So those two guys and an offensive mastermind who had a tremendous amount of success in the National Football League and in college in Liam Cohen as their head coach. The Jags to win the AFC South are going at over 3.1 to 1 right now if you're into the wagering market. So they've got worse odds to win the division than the Colts. I don't understand that. I don't believe why that's the case. And look, Trevor Lawrence, disappointing last year. Trevor Lawrence also hurt last year. Better offensive mind, better weapons, healthy. This is make or break for Lawrence. This is make your $55 million a year or clearly state that you're not going to be worth $55 million a year. I got to lean towards more likely that he's going to be worth it than not worth it, even though he's been a little disappointing these past two seasons.
God, I'm jacked up. It's almost a bummer that we have to wait a couple months for these games to start. But thank you, Cody. I do genuinely very much enjoy any chance we have to talk football. And thank you for coming on today and helping us further break down the draft a little bit and kind of get situated and set before the offseason really starts and everything gets quiet. I appreciate you.
Anytime, man. You know the number.
Cody Stutes, Houston football. Austin, how about that? I like having a Texan on the show. That's badass. He's down there, and it is insane to me, and I do like driving, Austin. I'm a road trip man through and through. I can't imagine getting in my car driving 12 hours and still being able to be in the same state. That is pretty insane to me. It's also pretty badass. But yeah, I think Fort Worth is more on the west side. Houston, I think, is south. I don't know. But I do like talking a little bit about Savion Williams as well. Matthew Golden, Savion Williams. The Texans doing something pretty similar, going wide receiver, O-line wide receiver in round number 1. So there's certainly some parallels worth discussing. We'll come back, wrap up.
Oh, no.
Bad
radio. You're
good. Hour number 2 of the Bill Michaels Show. And some more Brewers thoughts. I think we have Steve Zautke at the bottom of next hour. So I think what we're going to do, we're going to continue to have a guest and then kind of reset the talk of the day, which is the Brewers having a nice win last night. Yelich maybe starting to figure it out. And then, of course, picking at the NBA and the Eastern and Western Conference Finals, which I think have been more entertaining and more engaging than not, which is a nice refresher from last year when those series both seemed kind of dead. Just not a lot of intrigue last year. We'll wrap up hour number 2 of the Bill Michaels Show next.
This is the Bill Michaels Show on the Wisconsin Sports Zone Radio Network.
Wisconsin, June 27th and 28th. Don't miss the excitement on the main stage. Friday night, it's Texas Hippie Coalition. And Saturday night, Drowning Pool. Tickets are on sale now. Want more? Follow Big River Rally on social or go to BigRiverRally.com.
Bill Michaels will resume in 3 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 2 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 1 minute. Bill Michaels will resume in 30 seconds.
Bill Michaels Show. Last couple minutes of hour number 2. A little breaking news. Oh boy. Austin Harper back in the studio. Knower of ball. Love talking baseball with Austin. Have you seen some news out of Atlanta this morning?
Is it that Acuna's starting today?
Well, that's a small part of the story. So
that's the news I heard.
Part number 1 of the story is that Ronald Acuna, is returning from his rehabilitation. He's been instated from the aisle, but did you see the name of the player jettisoned from the roster to make space?
I did not.
Orlando
Arcia. I predicted it.
Bring him home.
Was he DFA'd then?
He was DFA'd.
Oh, boy.
Bring him home.
Bring him home.
We got rid of Yoel Payamps. Now we just need to... Look, in all seriousness, I loved Orlando Arcia. Dude showed up in big games. He was completely and totally impervious to any results around him. Like, the entire team could be in the tank and he would be hitting bombs. And the offense could be operating at the highest level in Brewers history and he would be clueless up there. Like, just impervious to outside conditions. And I believe he's tied or very close to the top of franchise leaders, postseason leaders for home runs. And I'll double check those stats when we take a 2-minute break here. So an option if the Brewers are looking to... I don't know. He could take Andrew Monasterio's spot. But again, Monasterio's got some positional versatility.
If there's like an option to sign him, I don't know if he goes through waivers or not first. I don't think he does. But anyways, if there's an option and the Brewers are a serious baseball team, someone he should be signed.
If the Brewers are a serious baseball team, they'll do this. You might be the only one who holds that opinion.
Not necessarily. I don't know. Has Arcia been terrible this year?
Well, if he's been DFA'd, I can't imagine he'd be great. Yeah. We'll get on that during this break. We'll look up the necessary details. Hour number 3, we'll begin with Orlando Arcia next on the Bill Michaels Show.
This is a Wisconsin Sports Zone update.
Well, the Brewers are in Pittsburgh. It's where they're going to play the second game of their 4-game set with the Pirates tonight. Milwaukee took the opener last night 8-5 despite a 2-hour rain delay. The story, Christian Yelich hit 2 home runs, his first multi-home run game since September of 2023. Yelich leads the Brewers with 9 home runs, but he's batting just 192 on the year. The veteran has been trying to make some adjustments to his approach to the plate, and last night's effort was a step in the right direction.
Making some adjustments today. We've been talking about it the last few days, just trying to know what I want to do, just being able to do it, 2 different things. But yeah, just been talking it over, tweaking with some things, playing around and seeing what sticks, and just getting back in the flow of playing baseball. And can't do anything about the past, and the beginning of the year, it is what it is, but we got a lot of games ahead of us and a lot of season left, so hopefully get things going on the right track.
Tonight can feature the top pitchers for both teams. Brewers going to send Freddie Peralta, comes in 5-3 with a 2.59 ERA. The Pirates counter with Paul Skeens. He's 3-5 with a 2.44 ERA. A win would get the Brewers back to 500 on the season. First pitch out in Pittsburgh set for 5:40. Meanwhile, former Brewers outfielder Darren Ruff, who spent just 11 games up by 23, suing the Reds after his career injury, crashing into a couple there 2 years ago.
Nearly 40, ABC Wisconsin Apprenticeship has been helping men and women transform themselves into highly skilled trade professionals. These skills are in demand and provide strong wages and benefits for a bright future. If you're a hands-on person who likes the feeling when you get projects done, apprenticeship could be for you. Go to buildyourcareerwi.org or just search online for ABC of Wisconsin.
Well, the Packers finishing up phase 2 of their offseason program, going to get phase 3, their organized activities going on Tuesday. With this Wisconsin Sports Zone Network update, I'm Zack Hyprin.
Welcome back. Hour number 3. The show is flying by today. Quick, feel like we're having a good time. Thanks to Zack Hyprin and Cody Stutz. Joined us in hour number 1 and hour number 2. Steve Zautke going to join us in about 30 minutes here. He's down in Indianapolis. We're going to talk Indy 500, including Austin. And I'm very excited about this. The Wiener Mobile race.
The Wiener Mobile race coming up in less than an hour. Less than an hour, the Wiener 500. I'm hyped.
I mean, what if they crash?
Have you?
And Bert, like Oscar Mayer is gonna. Did they have a policy? Did they take out a special insurance policy for this?
And again, I was literally doing research all morning during Over the Line, trying to figure out how many races or how many laps this race is, and I couldn't find it anywhere. All they say is it's happening, and there's all six Wiener mobiles are there. They're all representing different hot dogs from different regions throughout the country, and I'm hyped.
The Chicago dog.
Glorified sausage race is what we're going with, is what this is.
The Seattle dog. I'm sure there's a New York style hot dog.
Yeah, there's let me pull it up. I don't have the thing up anymore. We'll pull it up with Steve. We'll pull it up.
I had an Icelandic hot dog back in March. Yeah. They're actually known for their hot dogs. It was bitching. It was great. It's actually very smart. They put the onions under the dog, so then they don't fall off. How brilliant is it?
You know what? Why didn't we think of that?
I know. At first, you're like, well, that's stupid. And
no,
like,
but
wait.
The hot dog could be the last one to go on the bun.
In fact, you could argue it should be. As a fellow with a mustache, the condiments being under the dog, appeals to me. I don't always want to be licking mustard out of my mustache. I mean, sometimes it's good.
This was a debate earlier today.
Oh, boy.
Can you put ketchup on a hot dog and or brat?
I'm so confused because I see which baseball broadcast they were talking about this. And
I'm not 100% sure.
He was so adamant. He's like, no, you can put ketchup on a hot dog if you're a child. Oh, okay, because a hot dog is such an adult food.
Right?
Are you kidding? What do you mean? If you're eating a hot dog, dude, the rules of maturity and adulthood have gone out the window. Who says you can't put hot dog or ketchup on a hot dog? This is the stupidest thing I've ever heard. I'm going to look up who this was. It was one of...
Fully agree.
I think it might have been...
I never heard the topic before. And then today we're going... Pat was in studio with us when I got my brat today for Take Your Brat to Work Day. It's Brat Fest this weekend. So I'm putting ketchup and mustard on my brat. He's like, no ketchup on a brat. What? Who are you to tell me how to eat it?
So first of all, I don't tell anybody how to eat anything. And I'm never going to tell anybody that what they're eating is gross. I think that's remarkably rude. You like what you like, eat what you want to eat. And I'm not going to judge you. I just sent you a clip. If you could get this up so we could play it. It's, I think it's Detroit. It's Dan Dickerson and Jason Benetti. With brats, I get it a little bit because I think traditionalists and Andrew Wagner would, oh my God, he'd yell at us for this, I'm sure too. But like, a good brat shouldn't need anything. It's like, okay. Like, I still like it with ketchup and mustard, but I understand the idea that a traditional bratwurst could be eaten by itself. A hot dog? It's made out of hooves and buttholes and pig's ear. Like, what do you mean we can't put ketchup on a hot dog? What are you ruining? You're not ruining anything. You could make the argument that you would ruin a great high-level traditional sausage or bratwurst. All right, I'll listen to that. I still think it's a little silly. Eat it how you want, but I get it. A hot dog? Oh, how dare we disrespect the name of Oscar Mayer? How dare we it's the most processed thing and it's delicious, but I want some condiments on there. Did you get the video that I sent you?
Yep, here it is.
All right, let's play this.
Somebody on Twitter asked, hashtag does Dan care? How much does Dan care about ketchup on hot dogs?
Well, that's a 10 because it's wrong. I mean, it's just wrong. You don't put ketchup on a hot dog. You know that, right?
Yeah, I've heard that in Chicago. Yeah,
right?
Growing up there.
No, it's mustard. You can put conies on, obviously. Chili, onions, fine. But always mustard. No ketchup.
Never.
It shouldn't be a 10 because I got to reserve that for things that are a little more important.
Like
so
what?
Let's put it at, world peace and things along those lines.
Yeah.
So let's keep it at an 8.
Okay.
All right.
So it's just 2 below world peace.
Well,
Catch up on a hot
fixing the
dog.
world's problems. And,
Okay.
there's a lot of things in there that,
Sure.
We got George Carlin over here.
So two below world peace is not being allowed to put ketchup on a hot dog.
Yeah,
That's crazy.
if you're having them Chicago style, because Chicago style has like
They
if
have
you go
every
to
other condiment. They have every other topping available.
Yeah. So it's a completely different thing. You know what I mean? Like, yeah, that's a special type of hot dog that doesn't. You can't. Well, you never put ketchup on a hot dog. You would say, well, if you're eating it Chicago style, then there's no ketchup on it. But then it's covered with other delicious items.
Exactly.
If you're, let's say, and we're a big hot dog household, we probably have them like once a week. We're a big hot dog house. And if I'm at home and my option is eating a plain hot dog or a hot dog with ketchup and like I'm putting ketchup on the thing. Oh, you never put ketchup on it. Are you kidding me? You want me to eat it? Why warm it up, Austin? Why even bother warming it up? It's already cooked. Just slide it right out of the package with the hot dog water and I'll just slide it right down your gullet. Don't even bother chewing. What was the consensus on the morning show this morning? Did Ebo have an opinion on this?
Most of them, it was just you put whatever you want. Ebo said he's fine with ketchup. He put ketchup. He did put ketchup on his first pot, ketchup and mustard.
Yeah, ketchup is delicious.
Second one, he just did mustard. But I don't know why you have to have a strong opinion on,
because people have to,
why do you have to be mad at people for putting ketchup on a hot dog?
Because people have to have strong opinions about everything. This is a product of having a culture surrounded or filled with podcasts and blogs where everyone has a platform and opinion on everything. And yes, I understand the irony of this complaint because I'm hosting a radio show. I understand, but like this is my day job. Like we're a society now, Austin. Everybody's got a podcast. You can't watch a show. You can't simply watch a TV show in 2025 without listening to the Reaction podcast or reading something at The Ringer, which is a good site. But it's like, hey, did you like that episode of The Last of Us? Here's the winners and the losers from this week's episode. Like we just have to have an opinion on everything. Gone are the days of eat a hot dog any way that you want. Now it's like the 10 do's and don'ts of eating hot dogs. We sat down and talked to Bob Kazamakis, who's been ushering at Wrigley for 85 years. He can't hear or see anymore, but God, he's the world's biggest hot dog expert. And it's like, okay. So that's why everyone has to have an an opinion to answer your question.
At this point, there's discourse just about every single topic imaginable.
When you were little, we never used the word discourse growing up. Now there has to be discourse on everything.
Yeah, I don't think I ever used that word until I started working in radio.
Of course, because you just lived your life. And if you were going to have a conversation about something, you were just going to chat. Like, it wasn't that serious. Now it's like, oh, we're having long form discourse on hot dog. It's like, oh, Jesus, just eat what you want. Okay, but interesting topic. Eat what you want. Maybe I'll go to Costco for lunch. Oh, have you ever had a Costco hot dog, dude?
I have not. Costco, I've
love Costco.
I get the pizza at Costco to be
honest.
Well,
that's fair. Or the chicken bake. It's all good, but
not
the funny thing is we have a Costco membership, but it's a 2-person household. We don't have so a couple of weeks ago we bought an unbelievable amount of toilet paper and paper towels. Like we'll never have to buy that again, but I can't buy food in bulk. I can't buy 600 K cups at once. There's 2 of us in the house. But we always get the hot dog. Always get the hot dog.
So I moved downtown this summer. I'm living downtown Madison. Before I moved in on Sunday. My mom took me grocery shopping to Costco on Sunday.
I love that. And always take advantage of that because my mom used to offer when she would come to visit me in college. You want me to take you shopping? I'd be like, nah, I don't need anything. Take advantage of that when you can. That's so nice.
Absolutely. So I'm going to Costco and I'm looking for the food and everything. I had to choose what I got based on how big the portions were. Everything's in 2 there. I had to buy 2 family-sized boxes of Cheerios.
Hey, do you like bagels?
To get my cereal.
Here's 24 of them, buddy. Get ready to speak toaster and cream cheese.
I went and grabbed a 6 thing of French toast bagels. I was like, oh, this looks good. Nope, you need 2 minimum. 2.
Was that a problem when you got to the checkout? Because that's happened to me. Where she's like,
no, because my mom is a professional Costco shopper, so I
got to the checkout. I got yelled at because I had 1 loaf of bread, which I try to not eat in the morning. Like I'm always tempted to make eggs and toast, and I've really tried to just have the eggs. Like, just don't eat the buttered toast in the morning. Not that it's going to like kill me, but like, I don't need the carbs. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I'll get one loaf of bread, make grilled cheeses for dinner, whatever. I don't need 2 loaves, but you get to the checkout and the Costco people, man, they're professionals. They're like, what are you doing? I'm like, I want to buy this loaf of bread. I can't ring this up. They're like, go back and get another one. I'm like, sir, it's a mile away. Do you see the building that we're in?
Yeah.
So they get on the radio. I need another loaf of 8 grain stat. And there's like 6 people in line behind me and they all have a pallet of baked goods and crap, whatever. I like Costco. I want a hot dog. I think I'm going to get one for lunch. On Orlando Arcia, by the way. So he is the Brewers franchise leader in home runs. He's tied with Prince Fielder and
playoff home runs, right?
Playoff home runs. Yes.
Okay.
Postseason home runs. Yeah. He's the all-time franchise leader with 4. Not exactly a franchise known for power, but no, playoff leader. He's been with the Braves for 5 years. In 2025, he has played in 14 games, 32 plate appearances. He's batting 194 with an OBP of 219 and an OPS of 445. So not exactly a dream season for sure. No. He only has 1 hit, 6 hits, 1 double. But Orlando Arcia, I love the guy because, man, he could spin it at short. And Austin, he had a knack for showing up in big games, not just in the postseason. May I ask you to recall what happened in game 163 between the Brewers and the Cubs in 2018? Do you remember?
Arcia definitely did something now that you're mentioning it.
He had 4 hits that day, I believe.
Yeah.
To the point where Joe Madden after the game was like, yeah, I mean, I remember he commented specifically about Orlando Arcia. Like, we couldn't get him out.
But I more recall the next day after for my Cubs fandom. That's I get hurt.
Rockies?
Yeah, I get hurt at that one more because I mean, I get hurt at both, but I recall the Rockies game much more because it happened the next day and then we were out. So
was that the beginning of the end of that era of Cubs baseball?
That was that was the last time. Well, actually, no, they didn't. The last time the Cubs won a playoff game was 2017. So 18.
I mean, the last time the Brewers won a playoff series was just about that long ago.
Yeah.
So I can relate. Christian Yelich hitting 2 home runs last night, and the jarring statistic or detail that I keep bringing up is, despite his just putrid start this year, he's hitting 192, and he's just been a constant, basically a constant out. He's been a walking out, despite DHing and despite hitting leadoff or third or fourth. I mean, he's been in the heart of the order. But after last night with 2 home runs and 4 RBIs, he is both the club's leader in RBIs and in home runs. Austin, I just don't know what to do with Yelich. And we had this conversation with JR yesterday from the Journal Sentinel, JR Radcliffe, who's great. Like, I don't even know what to do with them because this is not reminiscent of 2020 or 2021 or 2022. Like, this is a different version. And I think you have to consider back surgery and how he's coming back from that. Although it didn't bother him in spring training.
I think it has to be something with that. I would go on the assumption that he has like some sort of mechanical thing has to be different.
He's gone from the toe tap to the leg lift. He's twitched or tweaked it a couple times this year.
So I would assume he's trying to learn how to hit now with this back surgery. I'm not saying he's necessarily in pain, but there's a solid chance that it changed something within his swing that he has to learn.
But shouldn't it change it for the better? I thought that was the whole idea of having surgery, is now you can play the way that you want to play.
You really would think, but or maybe he is just having this putrid of a start to the season, as you said. I don't know. Maybe it's a hard case to see, but the Brewers are going to have to keep trotting him out there because the best version of this Brewers team is if Yelich is hitting 2 homers like he did yesterday.
Well, yeah, and that's exactly the thing. Like
he's going to get playing time. He's going to still play every day pretty much.
The path without Yelich and without Contreras and without Trio as well, it's non-existent.
There's not one.
There's no path there. So you're better. And I understand Brewers fans, it's annoying as hell because you look at the lineup card every night and it's like, so Yelich is hitting cleanup and it's against a lefty and he's DHing, right? So we got to suffer through Jake Bauers in left field, who's mostly been fine, but not great, not the best. So I think you're better off banging your head into the wall, trying to get him going. And maybe Murphy needs to do a better job of pulling different strings and levers, and maybe that includes an off day. You know what I mean? Like maybe that includes at some point. And I know last night is the first spark in forever. So watch, tonight will be the night that Yelich sits out a game. But maybe at some point, if this isn't the beginning of something, you can't get off the ground, maybe a 10-day IL stint. Like maybe you just got to take a couple days off.
Yeah.
I don't know what. Maybe at some point you need to try different things, but you need to keep trying, period. And I saw a comment earlier, and I can't remember who it was, on the idea of Chourio. I mean, Chourio's been disappointing so far this year, but last year in April and March, I mean, he was poor. If you just look at batting average by month, and pardon me for being a dinosaur referencing batting average in 2025, but April and March, he hit 206. May, he hit 215, and then average by month, June, July, August, September, October, goes 315, 317, 321, and 263. And even in September, October, when his batting average tailed off a little bit, the power was still there. The on-base actually went up. He took a pile of walks, I think, probably because pitchers were just trying to work around him at the end of the year. But if if Jackson Chourio starts to hit the ball at the end of May and then looks really good in June, you might think, well, he got off to a slow start. It's actually very reminiscent of what happened last year. I think last year we chalked it up to he's a young player and needs time to figure it out. He's still young, but now in his second year in the bigs, I think Brewers fans hoped for a little bit more consistency throughout, that maybe he wouldn't need that feeling out period, but this might just be the player that he is. Slow start, and he doesn't, Austin, have the mechanisms of, well, I'm going to take my walks, I'm going to do other things. And I think that's been a big part of the Brewers' frustration with him, is you can't just go up there and strike out until you start hitting. Like, you need to be a more well-rounded contributing offensive player, and he just hasn't gotten on base. His on base is terrible. He doesn't walk.
Yeah, absolutely. And there's known players that have slow starts. So if he goes and hits it starts hitting the crap out of the ball in a month, like, he'll be fine. There's no reason to worry about Chourio. He's also on a great deal. Like $80 million for the guy that we saw for a 3-month stretch last season. If we even get half of that, like a good portion of that, he's going to be worth the contract. $80 million in MLB right now is not a big contract at all. Well, not at all. And this guy's 21. Like, he's going to be fine.
That's the thing.
That's not. There should be more worrying about Yelich and Contreras because of the finger than with Chourio. Chourio's going to figure it out.
And a lot of people like to reference the contract. And I know this has been front of mind for a lot of people because Steve the Homer True in Milwaukee went viral in this clip during, is it the Homer Hour? I don't remember when he's on air or what his show is. And I don't mean that disrespectfully. I just don't really listen to ESPN Milwaukee, but he went viral for a clip saying they should trade Chourio. If you're paying him this much, he's got to be better. It's like, well, actually, like, you're paying him more than you would be paying a normal 21-year-old, but the contract is not that big, guys.
No.
Like, go look at the SPO tracker, go look at the year-over-year pay. Like, it's a very team-friendly deal. Even if he's not the super-duper star that we saw at the end of last year, I think over the course of the entire season and in the aggregate, this contract has almost already started to pay itself off. Like, the deal is, and thank you for pointing that out, Austin. People talk about him like he's making $100 million a year. He's not. He got an extension, and it was extension before he ever played a AAA or a major league game. But it's a very reasonable contract. And I think now watch the calendar switch over towards June and into July. And if he follows the same progression we saw last year, right, still a ton of belief. And that was echoed yesterday when we had JR on from the Journal-Sentinel. We'll hear a little bit from the Brewers clubhouse last night after the game. And then at 12:35, we're going to go down to Indianapolis and connect with Steve Zautke. Traction reaction. We can ask him about the hot dog race, but also the Indy 500, which is coming up on Sunday. So we'll get all those details too. More of the Bill Michaels Show coming up next.
Covering Wisconsin sports like a blanket, this is the Bill Michaels Show on the Wisconsin Sports Zone Radio Network.
Get the Road America app. You can watch and listen live. Get real-time updates on the races, driver interviews, sponsor details, and so much more. Go to roadamerica.com.
When having new Pella windows and doors installed at your home, you get the full Pella experience. That means we're with you from start to finish. Our team doesn't disappear after the work is done. Just like with Vinny, your Pella experience starts with a free in-home consultation.
It was really comfortable kitchen table chat. We knew Pella was going to get it right the first time, and they designed a project with us. They didn't just replace our windows and doors.
With customizations driving limitless possibilities, Our Pella experts truly listen to your vision, just as we did with Nicole.
I felt like they really listened to us. There's so many options that are available. So it was nice to have someone narrow those down, offer some suggestions, and they made sure that the design was what we wanted.
Don't wait any longer, because right now at Pella Windows and Doors of Wisconsin, get 0% financing for up to 6 years. Visit PellaWI.com today.
Certain restrictions apply. It's 5/31/2025.
Bill Michaels will resume in 3 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 2 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 1 minute. Bill Michaels will resume in 30 seconds.
It's one in the air to left. Back is Pham. Still back at the notch, and it is going to be gone. It's a home run for Christian Yelich. Everybody stopped to make sure Tommy Pham didn't make the play. Yelich goes oppo, and the Brewers jump out in front 3-0.
Welcome back. Your dreams were your.
Well done, Austin. Hell yeah.
Welcome back.
Christian Yelich is back. At least Pat Murphy seems to think so. I laughed during his post-game presser last night when he said, yeah, it seems Yelich is coming out of it. It's like, or he had 2 lucky swings against an absolutely terrible Pittsburgh Pirates team. Who's to say? But I love Murphy's approach. And at least until tonight, when Yelich beats the ball into the ground 3 different times to the first baseman, we can believe we can live in that world, at least for today. This is the Bill Michaels Show. My name is Grant Bills, producer Austin, back in studio. We're going to hear a little bit from the Brewers clubhouse. In about 10 minutes, we're going to connect with Steve Zautke, who's down in Indianapolis for the Indy 500. And there's a lot to talk about between, of course, the actual Indy 500, but they're also doing the Wienermobile race today, which I have questions about. And I don't know that Steve has answers, but I got to do my job and at least ask him, Austin. So we're going to get into that. I know that's something that you've been monitoring. You're on that beat, at least remotely today. You've been following
just because that's fun. That's fun. And I like fun.
Yeah, until one of them spins into the wall and then there's a fireball.
Even that would... even that would be entertaining.
Well, okay, so
see the Wiener, there's no way they're going to drive recklessly.
So there have been,
chance.
yeah, I don't think they can either. But so there have been tragic, crashes throughout the years in NASCAR and in IndyCar. It happens, and it sucks, and it's a product of the sport from time to time, and it breaks your heart. But like, I'm not laughing at the idea of a crash, but can you imagine a hectic pile up with a fireball and the announcers who are calling it have to treat the situation with reverence and grace and aplomb.
Yeah.
But
and
then you're watching with your eyes, but it's Wienermobiles, bright yellow and red. And it's like, oh goodness. And your heart just stops witnessing this, and it's freaking hot dog cars.
Yeah. I'm going to watch it, but I have a feeling this is going to be like a little scripted kind of race thing.
It's more of a cruise, maybe.
Yeah. And I don't know how much passing they're going to try to be doing recklessly on the turns. I don't know.
I don't know who owns the Wienermobiles, but I feel like, let's keep those two things between the mustard and the mayo. Although I don't know if you can use mustard or mayo on a hot dog now. A little bit from the Brewers locker room. Let's start with Pat Murphy talking about how Savali coming back a little bit early. They moved his rehab start. That was nice, but at least according to Murphy, the real story of the game was the 3 1/3 innings they got from Carlos Rodriguez after Savali pitched and after the rain delay as well.
How important Carlos was today. It feels like Savali pitched yesterday, but to be able to pitch after that delay, he's capable, but to delay almost 2 hours and have the mental capacity in his first outing of the year in the big leagues, get his first major league win, he deserves it.
So
that's crazy.
It is pretty crazy because
he came back out after.
He came on. Am I remembering this correctly? He came back after getting the first 2 outs of that inning, sat around for 2 hours, and then came back out, probably with the idea that he's not long for the major leagues. You know what I mean? Like, you're up here to give us length today and to save our bullpen, and then before too long, probably go back down. Like, the Brewers specifically ask a lot of guys in that, kind of quad A position where they're shuttling guys up and down. They make use of their options. And it's even harder for players like that when they're asked to do something like, hey, give us an inning or two, sit down for 2 hours during the rain delay and give us a little bit more length. Definitely, tip of the cap to Carlos Rodriguez last night. And Pat Murphy was technically correct. Here he is talking about home runs from Christian Yelich and Joey Ortiz, some players who have not exactly had banner years, but maybe starting to figure it out in Pittsburgh.
Yeah, Carlos deserves a lot, and Savali gave us 70-some pitches, and he's back in the mix. Feels good with some experience. Joey Ortiz, but Yelich with the 2 homers, that's just so big with how much responsibility he takes on for this team, and it's just huge that he hung in there and looks like he's coming out of it.
Do you think he's coming out of it, Austin?
We're gonna leave that to be determined. But I do like that answer of the responsibility that Yelich carries. I think that goes with what we've been saying, and the astounding stat that he's still the team leader in home runs and RBIs. I think that goes really well with the responsibility and what we've been saying, that the best version of this Brewers team is an all-star level player with Yelich.
And I think he's a leader too, although I've questioned it at times because he's a softer spoken guy. But I don't know if you read Jesse Rogers' story earlier this week. It's kind of a bizarre story. It seemed like he needed to write a story, and he's like, well, I can ask Craig Counsell and Colin Ray about the Brewers and the division. And there were some great anecdotes about Yelich speaking up in team meetings about this, that, the other thing, having Murphy's back. So that was some nice context, and I would encourage Brewers fans to go read it. If you were like me, someone who questions, what is Yelich's role as a leader, vocal or not, like that kind of gives you an idea of not just what he does on the field for this team, which this year has left a lot to be desired, but an important voice in that locker room as well, which I was happy to hear, because you make that money and you're that guy, the elder statesman in the clubhouse, you need to carry that responsibility and have a voice of some kind. And here is Christian Yelich getting a home run, not just once, but twice, his first multi-home run game of the season, which has vaulted him to number one on the Wisconsin Powerball home run leaderboard, which they're probably thrilled because they're like, we're paying for you to talk about home runs and no one's hitting them. So here's Christian Yelich last night.
Yeah, I mean, it feels good. Obviously pretty tough start to the year and been grinding and it's not ideal. It's been tough, but it's part of the game, and these guys have been trying to pick me up all year with finding ways to score runs, and it felt nice to be able to contribute and help the guys out finally, and been grinding with the hitting coaches. Nice to see some stuff pay off and hopefully get it rolling.
Selfishly, I'm sure Yelich is happy to have a couple on the board, but in the bigger picture, it's like, man, you get some breathing room. Like, I'm going golfing tomorrow, Austin, and I'm a terrible golfer. And I hope that I can keep it on the fairways and the greens. Not for me. I don't care what I shoot. I just don't want to jack up everyone else's game of golf. I'm going with 2 or 3 other guys.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I don't want to get to hole 12 out of 18, hit an iron shot from the freeway into the trees and have all my friends go, oh, Jesus. God.
Yeah.
And they'll be nice to me, but deep down, that they're like, buddy, get it together. So I think
being the significantly worse golfer in any sort of pairing or trio or quad might be world's worst feeling.
Yeah.
it's definitely up there.
So I'm scared for tomorrow. We'll see.
You got this.
Thank you. You know what, Austin? Thank you.
Stripe it down the fairway. Fairway finder.
I needed to hear that. I think I will play conservative and hit mostly irons when I can. If I can avoid driving the ball, which normally when you pull out an iron on the tee box, everyone's like, oh, look at this guy. He's just going to muscle it out there. It's like, no. I just don't trust myself. Safe. I don't trust myself to smoke it with the snow globe driver because I know not only am I going to miss, but it's going to go way off the green. If I hit it with an iron, I'll at least be able to find the ball. Look at it that way. We'll come back. Steve Zautke's down in Indianapolis for the Indy 500. We talked to him about the Penske drama on Wednesday. So if there's any late developments or the latest developments with that, we'll hit that. But we really just want to preview the race and talk about this Wiener mobile thing that they got going on as well. So we'll continue with Steve Zautke, the Traction Reaction podcast, YouTube channel. Follow his work. He is the best. He's been covering racing for radio and outlets in the state of Wisconsin for a long time. So we're lucky to have him next on the Bill Michaels Show.
Covering Wisconsin sports like a blanket. This is the Bill Michaels Show on the Wisconsin Sports Zone Radio Network.
When having new Pella windows and doors installed at your home, you get the full Pella experience. That means we're with you from start to finish. Our team doesn't disappear after the work is done. Just like with Vinny, your Pella experience starts with a free in-home consultation.
It was really comfortable kitchen table chat. We knew Pella was going to get it right the first time, and they designed a project with us. They didn't just replace our windows and doors.
With customizations driving limitless possibilities, our Pella experts truly listen to your vision, just as we did with Nicole.
I felt like they really listened to us. There's so many options that are available. So it was nice to have someone narrow those down, offer some suggestions, and they made sure that the design was what we wanted.
Don't wait any longer, because right now at Pella Windows and Doors of Wisconsin, get 0% financing for up to 6 years. Visit PellaWI.com today.
Certain restrictions apply. It's 5/31/2025.
Bill Michaels here. Your 2 wheels revved up because here it comes. The Big River Rally where the river meets the road. It rolls into La Crosse on June 27th and 28th. Join us for a weekend packed with action. Stunt shows, a killer bike show, food trucks, all kinds of awesome vendors. Friday, Rod's River Run with Texas Hippie Coalition lighting up the stage that night. Then Saturday, it's the Big River Rally Ride. Miles and miles of pure freedom. Then Saturday night, Drowning Pool rocks the house. Grab your tickets right now. BigRiverRally.com. That's BigRiverRally.com, and I'll see you there.
Bill Michaels will resume in 5 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 4 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 3 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 2 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 1 minute. Bill Michaels will resume in 30 seconds.
Welcome back. It's the Bill Michaels Show. The show is moving pretty quick today. Austin and I have joked. You know, sometimes Bill, he's in his own little world in his studio here at home where I'm lucky enough to be broadcasting today. And he's just got his nose down to the grindstone and he's having the show's flying by. And then I'm sitting back in the studio, just this padded room, no windows by myself. And Bill goes, "Hey, the show's flying by." I'll be like, "Yeah, but there's also days where it feels like it's all of 3 or 4 hours long. Today it feels, Austin and I think we're having fun. The show's been flying by." Would you disagree, Austin?
No, and I would say being more involved with the show definitely makes it go by. So on the days where Bill's on a roll and he's kind of just doing his thing, you're not contributing as much per se. Not to say you're not doing your job.
Wow.
But no. Yeah, it's gonna drag more when you're not as actively of a participant.
Yeah, it can't go fast for both of us. If it's flying for Bill, it's probably going slow for me and vice versa, and that's fine. Speaking of going fast, how about that, Austin? God. Pros. Steve Zocke's down in Indy. We talked to him on Wednesday about some of the Penske news. Before we talk about what is to come this weekend and what's happened and what's leading up to the race, is there anything on Penske that we did not know on Wednesday, Steve, that we should talk about? Because that's obviously been a big story, and I'm sure there's been developments all week.
Well, probably the big thing is today they had their final practice. You know, it's called Carburation Day. That's a throwback, but they kept the name. It's basically what it is. It's the final practice for the Indianapolis 500. Huge crowd down here. It's actually the second biggest crowd, even more so than qualifying, because most of the people that are traveling come into town, and they've already shut down some of the streets around the speedway, and there's probably at least 150,000 people down here for Carb Day. And the fastest is Joseph Newgarden in final practice. So now whether if he had a toe on that or some drafting help, that could be, but it's interesting that starting from the last row, you got Newgarden quickest. You got Will Power, who also was disqualified or penalized starting from the last row. He's in fifth. He was fifth fastest, so it'd be interesting to see how that translates on race day, but hasn't slowed him down too much.
Well, tell me about Robert Schwartzman, because he's a name that was relatively unknown, and then he was fantastic in qualifying, and now he's up. He's gone from a long shot to almost top 5 in the odds, depending on which book that you look at. Is that a name that has gotten some buzz and someone that you've enjoyed watching or following this week?
Yeah, Schwartzman I actually knew about. If you followed Formula One last year, you would have seen Schwartzman. He was the third driver for Team Ferrari last year. So on Fridays, what they call free practice 1, they give a chance at certain Grand Prix if the schedule is permits that they let that third driver drive the first practice. So Schwartzman drove in Formula One during practice for the first practice about 4 or 5 times last year. He was quick right off the bat. But unfortunately, as is the issue with Formula One at times, it's a political issue. There's a lot of politics involved, and there just wasn't a spot for him. They couldn't really commit to him. So he said, he had tested with Chip Ganassi Racing a couple of years ago. They wanted to sign him, but he had Formula One offers, and I can't really say I blame him. But I would have, he stayed to test the waters in Formula One, but unfortunately, just as a numbers game at this point with Schwartzman. So, he's a quick driver. And I mean, to me, it wasn't too surprising. Well, it was surprising that he got the pole, but he has not surprised me with his talent. It's a little bit more surprising is the team. The Prima team's been around for many years. It's a European team, but for them to go into a brand new series and be as strong as they have been, it is impressive.
So Formula One to IndyCar, I'm sure you mentioned some politics, and I'm sure that's a whole process, and there's things to do and hoops to jump through. What about a NASCAR guy like Kyle Larson? I see he's top 10 in the odds, and I'm sure coming from that part of racing, there's different hoops to jump through and different political angles that someone like Kyle Larson has to navigate too, right?
Well, with Kyle Larson, don't even equate the NASCAR into it. Okay. Kyle Larson is like a Tony Stewart, Mario Andretti, one of those guys. He's a top, 1% talent in auto racing that you put him in anything, he's going to be fast at it, even a Wienermobile. It's going to be, it doesn't matter that he drove NASCAR or what, but he's just fast.
I gotcha. All right. Steve Zautke here. Follow his YouTube channel and follow his work on Twitter, Traction Reaction. And producer Austin, he's been monitoring the hot dog race or the Wienermobile race. Is that something that has the crowd engaged? Because that's going on this afternoon. Is that going on right now?
I tell you what, whoever came up with this idea, now they did it about 15 years ago and at one of the NASCAR races. And to be honest, I totally had forgotten about it if I saw it. but this thing has taken off. It is unbelievable the traction, pardon the pun, this thing has gotten, and it's been everywhere. And people down here, everybody's talking about it, and it's interesting that there's 6 of them. There's 6 entries, and they're kind of marketing the same like they do with the sausages at AmFam Field. There's a chai dog, which I guess is short for a Chicago dog, a New York dog, a slaw dog, Sonorian dog, chili dog, and a Seattle dog. So they're trying to spread their geographically get everybody involved. So
interesting. From sea to shining sea. That's what you're saying. They're just doing it by way of the hot dog.
Exactly. But everybody, I mean, it is. It's really taken off. I mean, it's all over social media, and a lot of the, just local TV has really taken onto it. You turn on any of the local news channels, they're talking about it, and just even in a bar. I was in a bar last night, and people were talking about it.
Funny. All right. Traction Reaction Media and his podcast. Definitely go check it out. It's Steve Zautke, who's so nice to this show anytime there's something going on with racing. So Award, Palu, Dixon, Schwartzman, Sato, just a couple at the top of the board. Is there anything that's changed or anything that you've seen before I let you go that would adjust or kind of tweak our opinion of how Sunday's going to go?
I tell you what, with the Schwartzman deal, he's a great driver. But it's another thing to qualify on the pole when you're alone on the track. He's quick. But when the traffic is involved, that's one of the things Larson said last year. He said, he really enjoyed it, but he wasn't really prepared, even though he tried to, when he was out in practice, to put his car in uncomfortable positions where they were on other cars. He says the race is a totally another deal. And the most disappointing he felt was that on race day, when he's flying down to Charlotte or the next day, he kept in his mind, he kept on going over these different times where he lost time. He should have done this, he should have did that, and unfortunately, I think Schwartzman's going to feel the same way as any rookie does. It's the traffic, working your way through traffic, even if you have a good car. That's really what separates it. And other drivers have said that through the years who's their first time in the 500. That's the toughest part about it.
And that's experience and that's knowledge and skill that can only be obtained by doing the race itself, and not necessarily during qualifying or pole when you're out there by yourself, just getting a feel for the track and trying to get your time down.
Exactly. So, and then today it was kind of interesting. We had a couple engines blow up. One of them, Ryan Hunter-Ray, his car caught on fire, which is not the thing you want. Because now those crew guys are going to be thrashing, all night tonight and tomorrow. Anything with a fire, as it cooks the wires, it cooks the engine. There's so many things that are involved, and it just makes it miserable for those poor crew guys. But I mean, for the favorites, I still say Penske. If their odds are a little longer, take them. I would go with them, even if it's a place where if they pay off for a top 3 or top 5, definitely go in that direction. Alex Palou, I still say is a good bet. My favorite would be Pato O'Ward, though. Pato O'Ward's been so close the last couple of times. He's really digging down. He's serious about it, and he wants that win more than anything at this point.
Well, and he's top of the odds board and that leaderboard for a reason, I'm sure. Well, enjoy the weekend in Indy and enjoy the race, Steve. I appreciate your time this week and reaching out and just kind of getting us ready for this weekend. You're always so generous with the show, so we appreciate you. Thank you.
You bet. And not only that, but also talking about the Coca-Cola 600. For those who may not be aware, if you're hunting around for the race after the Indy 500 on TV, it is not on regular TV. It's the first NASCAR race that's going to be on Amazon Prime.
Well, and am I reading correctly that Larson's going to try to do them both, or am I confused? Because I'm far from an expert on this. Okay, damn.
No, yeah, he'll do both. Of course, every year they all say, and I think as we know, when it comes to snow in the winter, I think they just do this. The weathermen do this for ratings and that. But they were talking about rain, but it looks like the rain chances are becoming longer and longer as we get closer to the race. So I don't believe there's going to be an issue with Larson doing both. But yeah, he did that last year, but the rain was an issue for the NASCAR race. But other drivers have done it. The first one being John Andretti back in the 90s. But Robbie Gordon, Tony Stewart, of course, did it a few times. So, yeah, he should be able to do it, no problem.
Top racing talents, like you said, that can cross over and do all the different things. Well, I appreciate you, Steve. Enjoy the racing this week. Thank you for your time again.
All right. Thanks for having me. I appreciate it.
Yeah, you got it. Steve Zautke, Traction Reaction Podcast. And if you just find his Twitter, it's very easy. Steve Zautke, just like it sounds, Zautke. All of his links and everything that he's writing and recording is getting posted right there. Have you had your eyes on this Wienermobile race? I'm glad that, I would have been a little bummed, Austin, had Steve gone, well, it's gimmicky, but it's not really for me. I'm glad that he and racing people are embracing this.
Yeah. And I mean, he said that this is the highest attention for Carb Day in years. It may be because there's a Wiener race.
Now I kind of want to go to the Indy. I want to go to IndyCar at Road America.
Yeah, so I'm watching they're doing team introductions right now, and everyone's got a punny name. There's Relish and Riley. There's Grill 'em Up Kate. And then the winner of those race is obviously going to be called the Top Dog. Yeah, there's some good ones. Someone was saying they need to catch up with us. It's the puns are in full force, and I love it. I'm having way too much fun with this thing, but it's great.
Well, I'm glad it gives us something for us to sink our teeth into. Pardon the pun, because I know a little bit about racing, but I certainly don't know what Bill does and have the experience of Bill or Steve. So I'm glad that 2 different days this week, Steve texted me and was like, "Hey, there's news. If you want me to come on," and I said, "Well, I don't know what I'm going to ask." He's like, "I'll help you through it. I'll give you what you need to know." So I appreciate Steve. He's always so great to the show. We'll take our final break of the hour, come back and start to wrap up hour number 3, and then in hour 4, we'd love to take some of your calls if you're interested on Brewers, NBA, and also some new details that I want to talk about. Austin, sorry if you have no interest in this, but I think this Bill Belichick, Jordan Hudson thing is it's just unbelievable. So we got to get into that. There's developments there as well. We'll continue the Bill Michaels Show next.
Ready? This is the Bill Michaels Show on the Wisconsin Sports Zone Radio Network.
When having new Pella windows and doors installed at your home, you get the full Pella experience. That means we're with you from start to finish. Our team doesn't disappear after the work is done. Just like with Vinny, your Pella experience starts with a free in-home consultation.
It was a really comfortable kitchen table chat. We knew Pella was going to get it right the first time, and they designed a project with us. They didn't just replace our windows and doors.
With customizations driving limitless possibilities, our Pella experts truly listen to your vision, just as we did with Nicole.
I felt like they really listened to us. There's so many options that are available. So it was nice to have someone narrow those down, offer some suggestions, and they made sure that the design was what we wanted.
Don't wait any longer, because right now at Pella Windows and Doors of Wisconsin, get 0% financing for up to 6 years. Visit PellaWI.com today.
Certain restrictions apply. It's 5/31/2025.
Bill Michaels will resume in 3 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 2 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 1 minute. Bill Michaels will resume in 30 seconds.
Welcome back. It's the Bill Michaels Show. Thank you for tuning in today. We got an hour left. And if you have anything to add on the Brewers, well, we haven't really talked about the Packers at all yet today, but we certainly could if you have something to say. And we're going to talk a little bit more about the NBA as well, because the playoffs have been good. They've been really fun to watch. I've enjoyed it. So we might give you our thoughts on game 2 of Minnesota and Oklahoma City last night. Very entertaining game. Although the series so far is leaving a little bit to be desired. I would like for it to be a real series. And maybe Oklahoma City's that good, but we kind of got that last year where it's like, okay, so Boston is that much better than everyone else. We're not going to have any series. Not going to have any legit back and forth. So we'll see. Also, all this talk about hot dogs. I'm hungry. I'm going to Quick Trip right after the show, Austin. I'm getting me a roller dog. Or maybe I'll get a couple. Shoot, I'll get 3 or 4. Maybe I'll eat one with ketchup, one without. Seeing that's such a hot button debate these days, I guess.
I am seeing at this Wiener race, all these like hot dog costumes, all of it, they just have mustard on it. I don't know.
Well,
that's the Oscar Mayer Brown.
Yeah, I have mixed feelings about that.
Yeah.
We can cover that in the final hour as well. 608-321-1670. You have thoughts on the Brewers, the NBA, IndyCar, whatever. Final hour of the Bill Michaels Show coming up next.
This is a Wisconsin Sports Zone update.
Well, the Brewers are in Pittsburgh. It's where they're going to play the second game of their 4-game set with the Pirates tonight. Milwaukee took the opener last night 8-5 despite a 2-hour rain delay. The story, Christian Yelich hit 2 home runs, his first multi-home run game since September of 2023. Yelich leads the Brewers with 9 home runs, but he's batting just 192 on the year. The veteran has been trying to make some adjustments to his approach to the plate, and last night's effort was a step in the right direction.
Making some adjustments today. We've been talking about it the last few days, just trying to know what I want to do, just being able to do it, 2 different things. But yeah, just been talking it over, tweaking with some things, playing around and seeing what sticks, and just getting back in the flow of playing baseball. And can't do anything about the past, and the beginning of the year, it is what it is, but we got a lot of games ahead of us and a lot of season left, so hopefully get things going on the right track.
Tonight could feature the top pitchers for both teams. Brewers going to send Freddie Peralta, comes in 5-3 with a 2.59 ERA. The Pirates counter with Paul Skeens. He's 3-5 with a 2.44 ERA. A win would get the Brewers back to 500 on the season. First pitch out in Pittsburgh set for 5:40. Meanwhile, former Brewers outfielder Darren Ruff, who spent just 11 games with the club back in 2023, suing the Reds after he suffered a career-ending injury while crashing into an uncovered tarp roller there 2 years ago.
ABC of Wisconsin is the largest apprenticeship program in the state, with more than 2,000 active apprentices in 12 different skilled trades. In the ABC apprenticeship program, you earn while you learn on the job, get paid to go to class, and graduate with a job in your craft, but without the huge college debt. Explore 12 different construction trades in one spot at buildyourcareerwi.org or just search online for ABC of Wisconsin.
Well, the Packers finishing up phase 2 of their offseason program, going to get phase 3, their organized activities going on Tuesday. With this Wisconsin Sports Zone Network update, I'm Zack Hyprin.
Welcome back in hour number 3. How we looking? I'm just picking through all these sound effects, Austin, that Bill's got on the board because they are pretty fun. Oh, that's the big one. That's the one I've been looking for. Love to take your phone calls here in hour number 4 if you have any thoughts on the Brewers. Austin and I have been kind of just here and there making some observations about last night's game, what it could mean for maybe Christian Yelich moving forward, and what this weekend series could look like against the Pirates. So certainly that is on the table, and the NBA games as well. Why don't we pick at that for a couple minutes? I believe Doug in Luxembourg, one of my favorite callers anytime Doug calls. Doug, what's going on? You want to talk NBA?
Yeah, a little bit about the Pacers.
Yeah, what do you think?
Excuse me. I know being a Bucks fan, I'm a Bucks fan. You know, I just don't like the Pacers. I don't like the personalities on their team. But that being said, I think they're the most dangerous team out there. You got to respect them. I think they're the best coach team. I think they play the best brand of basketball. They remind me so much of those late 70s, early 80s Boston Celtics teams that just got under your skin, but always won because they got the players. You know how the hockey players got a goon on their team?
Yep.
Indiana's got a goon. Nesmith, he is a goon and a half. He will do anything it takes to win that basketball game.
I think Nembhard, they might have a couple guys who get under your skin and they'll be a little extra physical with you just to get. I don't think it's Nesmith. I think they got a couple guys like that, Doug. You're absolutely right.
Yeah. It's just he plays. He goes 10 deep. The Knicks are in terrible trouble. If they lose tonight, I see them getting swept.
I thought the Knicks were in trouble going into this series, Doug, because I just don't think they're such a different team. The Celtics are static. They stand there and they dribble and they dribble and they dribble. They don't fly around. They don't cut, which is why the Knicks, I thought, matched up pretty well with the Celtics. They were built to beat the Celtics. They're long and big and strong. The Pacers just demand something different from you entirely. And Doug, I was honestly surprised they had a lead in the fourth quarter against the Pacers. And the fact that they blew it means they're in I agree, and I don't like to overreact to game ones, but I also don't like to underreact. And I think the Knicks are in a tough spot, especially if they lose tonight. You're right.
I think Indiana, with that roster, excuse me again, everybody that steps on that floor knows exactly what they're in there for and what they're supposed to do. And they're just so well coached.
Yeah.
And I got one more thing to say.
Yeah.
Anytime the shortest player on your team leads the team in scoring, you may get far, but you're probably not going to win a championship.
Oh, you mean Brunson?
Yes.
For the Knicks.
You look through the history of the NBA, where even Iverson, did he ever win a championship?
Nope. He barely made the league had to help him simply get to an NBA Finals.
Yes. Anytime the shortest player on your team leads your team in scoring, you're not going to get that far. It's going to go so far, and then basketball is a big man's game, and it always will be.
Yeah.
That's all I got to say on that.
That's a great call.
So thanks for taking my call.
No, thank you for calling. Have a great Memorial Day weekend. So, Austin, it all starts to run together. That's what we led the show with yesterday, right? everything that Doug just said, I completely agree. I know we're Bucks fans, and it's tough to watch the Pacers do this because they beat us, they knocked us out, they knocked our team out. But God, if they aren't just an electric basketball team, and they got an edge to them, and they cut and they pass and they move, and they don't just stand there and pound the ball into the boards and take contested jumpers at the end of the shot clock. Like, if more teams in the NBA played that style of basketball, I mean, listen to Doug. I don't know how old Doug is, but he's got some seasoning. What did he say? He said, that reminds me of some team in the late 70s, the early 80s. The Pacers, I think, connect with more people. That style of basketball, people watch the Pacers go, that's the type of game that I played back in the day, or that's the type of basketball that I remember back when I really loved the NBA. They're a little bit of a throwback, and I know that we can't stand them, and if they lose, I'll be happy, but that's an awesome basketball product. And I think that's what we led the show with yesterday, right? That's what we talked about.
I believe so. I think looking at it from an objective standpoint, not biased towards the Bucks, Pacers are a fun team to watch. They just are.
Yeah.
They know what they're doing. They're a fun team to watch. I think a Thunder Pacer series would be absolutely electric. Just both teams play fast. Thunder defense versus that Pacers offense would be so fun to watch.
Strength versus strength. And I think the Pacers are better defensively than most people give them credit for. I don't think they're a defensive juggernaut. And I'm strictly going off eye test because I don't even know what the numbers say. I've mostly just been watching these games and enjoying the ride. I haven't been digging deep into the Bill Simmons pod or Zach. Like, I've mostly just been watching and enjoying. Indiana's defense as a collective might not be great, but they got some guys, they got some dogs who can raise their level. Neesmith, Nembhard. Turner's not a great defensive player, but he can have great defensive moments. And Doug is right about them being deep. Like, who was such a big difference maker down the stretch the other night? Obi Toppin, right? He's not a starter. TJ McConnell's had tons of big moments. Benedict Mathurin hit he didn't hit 5 threes. He hit some big free throws down the stretch and was really important. So the Pacers are just this fun mix of fast and aggressive and explosive, and they move and they pass the ball and they cut and they're deep. So you never really know which kind of bench player could be contributing on one given night. And they're not a great defensive collective, but they got physical guys who aren't complete doormats on defense. I think they're a really fun team. That being said, I wish the Knicks would have won game 1 because I'm worried that the series is just going to kind of start to fall the way of the Pacers now. I think the Knicks were lucky to have that lead at the end of the game. That was a game they needed to hold on to win.
I would agree. I mean, they come back, win today. I guess it doesn't matter. But I mean, obviously tonight's a must win for them. They do play tonight, right? I
believe so. I think we're doing every other day, and we should be. I guess I just assumed. I didn't even look, but I'm hoping it's tonight. Yeah.
Yes, tonight.
And I don't even know. Another bummer for the Knicks is, I mean, Jesus, you got 43 from Brunson and you got 35 from Towns. You got 35 points in a conference championship game in the conference finals. Like, you can't count on that every night, man. Like, watching Cat at the end. It's clear there's all the talent in the world. Cat is such a good example of a modern NBA player who he's gifted and he's got all the tools and he's got all the talent. But sometimes the wiring, especially for some of these American players, just isn't there, right? There's not that edge or that focus, and you can make bozo mistakes at the end. And Cat, not only with the scoring and the shooting, but the rebounding as well. And he was just doing a little bit of everything. And to waste that game, man, to lose that game, that sucks for the Knicks. That's really, really tough.
Yeah, it is. Grant, I hate to jump ship.
No, please. I think we've said all that needs to be said.
The Wienermobile race has just completed. The Slaw Dog just passed the Chicago Dog in the final stretch.
The Slog Dog?
The Slaw Dog.
Oh.
Slaw Dog. Just took the draft. They were second, and I just blew by the Chicago Dog at the stretch. That was as close to a photo finish as you're going to get in a Wiener Dog race. They won by about half a dog. About half a dog.
Half a length. By about half a bun.
Yeah, half a bun.
Jesus.
I love. They went 0 to 60 in a whopping 25 seconds. That's what the Wienermobile can do, I think. And then they rode that, and that was a fun watch. That was a good product.
Well, you sent me the same picture, and I retweeted it. Some racing account posted the picture of all of the Wienermobiles lined up at the starting line. Like it's the scene in the Phantom Menace where all the pods are firing up on the racetrack. Did they do it? Please tell me they did a gentleman start your engines. Like, please tell me someone got down there.
I hope so. I didn't have the sound on because I was listening to Doug talk. So
good for you.
I'll have to watch it during commercial, but that was entertaining. That worked. I thought it was going to be more of like a scripted-ish race, but no, it was they were making moves.
No, man, it's no holds bar.
They took that seriously. And the slaw dog is now called the top dog.
I'm going to throw this picture on the live stream for those of you who are watching. This is incredible cinema. You know what? And I'm going to leave it in here so when Bill comes back and logs into his
he just sees that.
There's just a picture of the hot dogs in the starting line. I'm going to throw this on. Look at this picture. I mean, they look like mean, lean racing machines. That's bad, dude. That's
they were
ready.
Ass. Yeah.
That's a sweet
That
picture.
Was hilarious.
And they say, and the stuffy Europeans would tell you that Americans have no culture of their own. Explain the image that I'm looking at right now, then. You French stuck-up pompous jerks. You Italians with your pasta and your wine. Explain this.
That's America. That is America culture at its finest.
God, I could just hear Lee Greenwood playing when watching this. This should be a Springsteen cover.
That's
what this should be.
Number 4, I forget what dog that was. It was they were in first after lap 1, and then they started smoking. The car started smoking. So people in the chat were saying the car they overcooked.
Dude, did they? So I was watching the race. Did they have to come in and did they come into the pits? Please tell me they came into the pits.
I don't think so. I saw they finished last because their car clearly lost it.
I'm watching a video of them coming. They're going so slow, dude.
Yeah. But then they were all racing a line, and then the second dude, the slaw dog, just goes to the side and whips by it. That was hilarious.
They should have rolled one just for the memes. They should have rigged one up to roll over and then have a plume of black smoke coming out. Dude, this video.
Hey, this was the first annual. We got plenty more. Hopefully, first of many. That's a success. That was entertaining. They'll be back.
What could they do at Road America? Could they race let's bring the Ducks up from Wisconsin.
Yeah.
Let's do some hot laps with those things. Now, I get that would maybe be the Wisconsin version. I can't quit watching this video. They got the green flag out and waving.
Uh-huh.
You guys, if you're watching or listening, you gotta go watch this at some point today.
That's crazy.
Yeah, Twitter doesn't know what
America.
to do with this. Spencer Williams, who covers the Brewers, has some other things, produces for iHeart. He tweeted, "I'm not sure what I just watched, but that was something." Like, that's how I feel about this as well. This rules. Oh my god,
that's great.
Well, and again, I'm glad that Steve Zautke didn't feel as though he was above it all.
Mm-hmm.
Mike in Portage texts in and says the play-by-play was hilarious. Well, now we gotta.
I gotta watch the broadcast.
Fleet Farm gas meal deal right now, $1.99. Can't drive past that. And yes, ketchup on hot dogs, fine. I make a mean boozy brat, and you may frown upon someone drowning it in ketchup, but other than that, to each their own. Interesting. If I send you this, can you play? And maybe it's just IndyCar on Fox. If I send you this, can you play 30 seconds? This I gotta hear what the play-by-play sounds like
at the end.
Yeah,
I already got it pulled up. Okay, I was watching. Yeah,
let's listen to like the last 30. I want to hear the finish.
Yeah.
I gotta hear what this sounds like.
I'm trying to. I'm going back to the finish of the race. Sorry.
I'm marveling at this. This is unbelievable.
Live producing. That was hilarious.
Someone's got to dub in like nasty like sounds. Like someone has to dub in the actual sounds of Indy cars or Formula One cars just blasting.
Yeah, that was
slaw dog by a nose. Oh my god!
I think it's here. We'll turn this on.
And
see.
You know one thing about Indy on the last lap, it's a dog-eat-dog world as they round the track for the final time.
Chai Dog still in.
Here's the stretch. Here's the final stretch. Chai Dog is winning right now.
Run off of turn 2 here. Oh, I think we might be having a race to the line.
Mustard Maddie closing with the Slaw Dog. Can she top off the Weenie 500 with a late pass on the Chai Dog? Less than a quarter mile to go at the Indianapolis Motor Speedway for the inaugural Weenie 500.
These hot dogs are hot rodding it down the front straight, T-Bell. They're coming at us now.
They're going so slow.
So slow. Here they come.
60 miles
Slaw Dog's making the move.
Townsend, they're closing. Second place is closing.
Listen
with
to the
run.
crowd.
Can the fans cheer them across the line? It's going to be close. They're making the move. Slaw Dog making the move up the inside on the run to the yard of bricks.
Listen to the crowd.
It looks like it's going to be the Slaw Dog by a nose. Slaw Dog wins in the closest finish in Weenie 500 history. Slaw Dog.
Unreal.
Dude.
That's great. Slaw Dog representing the Southeast.
We as
Congrats.
a society are always trying to do things for, the meme potential, for the potential that it's going to hit it big on social media and the algorithm will find it. It's just so satisfying when people have a great idea and it works.
Yeah.
Christian on the live stream says the European mind cannot comprehend this.
No, not at all.
You cannot comprehend. This is what I'm saying. The Europeans love to make fun of us and say that we have no culture. Okay. Pierre over there in Paris. Oh, city of no. Okay, well, I've watched Wienermobiles race around a track in Indianapolis, Indiana. Someone needs to dub legit race car noise over that.
Yeah,
they look
100%.
they look like they're moving in slow motion.
Yeah, they were moving slow.
I've never seen vehicles move slower around a racetrack than those two. Oh my God. All right, well, let's take a break. We'll come back. A couple reset thoughts on the NBA and then the Brewers. And then at 10:30, we're going to connect with Zack Hyprin to talk a little Badgers to wrap up the show. For those of you who missed it at the very beginning, talked a little recruiting and what's coming in the next few weeks with some top 30 or not top 30, but in-person visits for recruits who will be coming to Madison. So we'll wrap up the show with that. A lot more of the Bill Michaels Show coming up. Don't go anywhere.
This is the Bill Michaels Show on the Wisconsin Sports Zone Radio Network.
Bill Michaels will resume in 3 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 2 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 1 minute. Bill Michaels will resume in 30 seconds.
Bill Michaels Show, welcome back. A couple seconds left. We're going to connect with Zack Hyprin at 1:35. That's what a radio people call the bottom of the hour, the top of the hour being 2 o'clock. That's when we will be done. Bill will be back on Tuesday, barring some travel delay, or maybe he gets cavity searched at the airport and they detain him. Who's to say? I don't know, trying to sneak cigars back or something. So Bill should be back the next time that the show is on the air because we'll all be off on Monday for Memorial Day. So we'll get to Zack Hyprin here in about 10 minutes, talk some Badgers to wrap up the show. I believe John in Madison, known to our zone listening audience as Vagabond John, is on hold. Vagabond John, how are you today? Welcome.
No longer in Madison, but definitely.
Oh yeah, that's right. Yeah, you're
always.
in. Are you in Minneapolis or St. Paul now?
I am South St. Paul. So some call me now Minnesota John, and that's okay because Wolves in 5. But Grant, that Wienermobile, man, you talk about marketing and you talk about ideas coming to life. That is, and the European mind. Not only do we have the Pope, not only is the Pope from Chicago, famous from hot dogs, but now we're racing in our version of F1 hot dogs, on a racetrack. This is America's never been more back.
It's just brilliant. It's so brilliant. I'm shocked that no one has ever thought to race Wienermobiles before. But that's how you know it's a great idea when you're like, how are we the first ones to ever do this? It's just brilliant. If you haven't watched the video, 10 out of 10 would go recommend. It's hilarious.
As a guy in marketing, I'm thinking about this. I'm like, we could make this a national holiday, right? I mean, what other companies would you want to see? Like, let's get Jimmy John's bike delivery drivers lined up doing one lap, no rules. Whoever makes it to the finish line wins some sort of prize. Or, another company that might be interested, like DoorDash. Let's get the rusty Honda Civics out there, just average people's cars, right? The DoorDash drivers can apply to get in this race, man. And there's some sort of prize. Like, there's a lot of companies that could really run with this thing, but I know you have Zach getting on here in a minute, and I heard some of the optimistic conversations about this, but there's a lot of angst this week going on. Badger fans losing a recruiting battle to Illinois, and Brett Bielema, of course, the hog himself. How many hot dogs could that guy? Maybe just Brett Bielema running around the race. I don't know.
I'd watch that. Yeah, I'd watch him. Just a Brett Bielema time trial. I don't even need to watch him race anyone. I just want to watch him run.
College football coach 40-yard dash times. But no, I think like this kind of highlights in a while back, I made a comment, and I know there's a couple of listeners out there. I think of Tim and Sparta, your average Wisconsin fan that's somewhere between 50 and 65, where you're really in your adult life not used to a 5-win Wisconsin team, right? You think Wisconsin has changed into something that really I don't think they ever have been, right? This is a program that's never competed for a national championship. In the modern era, certainly. And so when you think about losing a recruiting battle to Illinois, I don't really understand why people see the logo Illinois and think Wisconsin is so superior to that logo. Because the reality is we're closer to Iowa, Illinois, these programs that have good streaks than we are to Alabama, Michigan, or Ohio State, right? Like on the spectrum, like we are closer to Iowa and Illinois than we are in those two programs. And so I think it was a hard-fought recruiting battle. I don't really think we have anything to worry about it. But, again, more commentary on the fans' reaction. People, again, who do you think Wisconsin is? Like, losing a recruiting battle for a 3-star in Illinois shouldn't ruin your week. So I think we just move on, clap it up, and get focused on the next guy.
It did not ruin my week. It did give us something to talk about. It gave us some content. I appreciate the call, John in South St. Paul, formerly of Madison. Vagabond John. To our morning and evening show. I think Wisconsin, I think Wisconsin's behind Illinois and Iowa, and I don't think they're behind Minnesota. They're probably pretty close, although they gave up 1 touchdown to Minnesota last fall, and then the team promptly quit. They're like, yeah, okay, we're ready for the end of the season. So I don't know. No, I don't think losing a 3-star to Illinois is a huge deal. I just think it's the sign of the times, as Harry Styles once sang. Austin, it's the sign of the times. It's just kind of the state of the program. They're closer now to Illinois, Iowa, Minnesota. In fact, I think they're beneath Illinois and Iowa. That'll be borne out in the results this year. Maybe not because Illinois is so far superior, but the schedule will certainly set up for them to have
a much better season, the results, and probably a 2024 Indiana version of 2025, right? Like that's probably how it lines up for them. But I love the way that they've built along the D line, including with 2 transfers from Wisconsin and a quarterback who's been there a little bit, which is a luxury that Wisconsin just hasn't been able to boast because they've been bringing in different guys every year. Bobby Menominee says school bus derby races. I have seen that on I don't know if it was formerly Fox Sports Wisconsin, but Austin, I don't know if you grew up in a house with cable, but I remember the Versus channel or the Speed channel. They'd race anything on there. They race school buses. They put demolition derbies on there constantly. 6 Foot Steve says, I swear if they don't recut the go high, the car will hold scene from Days of Thunder with this hot dog race. I'm never watching NASCAR again. Go high, the car will hold. The car that's designed to look like a bun and a wiener. God, I just can't get over these pictures, Austin. It's just so
hilarious.
They're low to the ground. It almost like they look like tanks riding into battle. Like tanks of flavor. God, I'm hungry. I'm getting hot dogs for lunch. What an incredible bit of marketing. I'm gonna go to Quick Trip, get some roller dogs. They have the gas station hot dog flavored chips at Quick Trip now. And I just maybe I'll need to get some of those as well. Oh my God, the Quick Trip hot dogs. Thank you to Quick Trip, by the way, big sponsors of the show. We appreciate them being a part of the show. And I also, while we're paying off sponsors, Bill's got the Culligan soft water system. You've heard him talk about this, or water doctors, excuse me, not Culligan. Well, the water doctors, the H2O doctors. Austin, I come here with 2 water bottles every time I come to Bill's house because I fill them up because the water at my house stinks. So I can attest personally to the water doctors as well as Quick Trip and some of the other fine sponsors that I'm able to enjoy broadcasting live here at Bill's studio. We're going to break just a little bit early. We'll come back. We'll connect with Zack Hyprin, WOZN, our sports director, and you hear him on the camp with Jesse Temple as well. We'll play that on the other side for those who missed it in hour number 1. And then that'll leave us about 10 minutes at the end for final thoughts and anything we may have missed, including latest development with Bill Belichick. Maybe that would be something fun to end with. That's coming up. Half hour, 2 more segments of the Bill Michaels Show coming up next.
Covering Wisconsin sports like a blanket, this is the Bill Michaels Show on the Wisconsin Sports Zone Radio Network.
Bill Michaels will resume in 5 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 4 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 3 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 2 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 1 minute. Bill Michaels will resume in 30 seconds.
Appreciate you listening today. Bill will be back on Tuesday after a 3-day weekend. Thanks again to Michael and Melissa. Dream Vacations, and you could book with them if you want done for you what Bill had done for him. BLTvacations.com or give them a call, 414-208-4221. So you, like Bill, can just roll up to the airport with all your materials, and as long as you can get yourself on the plane, then everything's taken care of. You just got to get yourself to the airport. That's all you got to be able to pull off. So Bill will be back on Tuesday. We look forward to that. At the very end of the show, coming up in the last 10 minutes, I do want to kick around for a little bit of fun the latest development with Bill Belichick, because it's a story that I just can't quit. But first, I want to talk to Zack Hyprin, and this is a conversation that we had in the first hour of the show. So if you missed it, I want to make sure those who have a chance to hear Zack get a chance to hear Zack talk a little bit about Wisconsin's recruiting cycle and some of the things that Vagabond John and we talked about last segment. So here it is, our conversation with Zack from hour number 1. Heilprin, our sports director, an excellent resource. I'm being told by executive producer, intern Austin, that we have Zack. Zack, happy Friday. Are you there? Is this working okay?
Yeah, intern Austin got it going. Still trying to figure out how to call out. I believe he's been with us for a couple years. So
I've made the call 100 times. I don't know what happened with that phone just now. I've called people 100 times. I don't know.
I should have told Austin. I dropped the phone and broke the headset when I was doing the thing where I hold it between my chin and my shoulder. So I went to the Ben Kenny Memorial Producer Studio to steal the other phone and plug it in. And for whatever reason, it doesn't like dialing out. And I thought Austin knew that. So that's on me. I set him up for failure. So sorry about that, Austin. And thank you for working with us, Zack. So King Liggins, is this something? It's the class of 2026. It was between Illinois and Wisconsin, Bielema and Fickle. Is that one that we expected to go towards Wisconsin and we were surprised? Or tell me about this saga, because I was very plugged into this announcement the other day.
Clearly. I love it.
Was I the only one? Come on. I'm following my team.
I love the name. King Liggins. I love the name. So Wisconsin obviously was on him for quite a while. And priority is probably maybe too strong a word, because he was a guy that they obviously wanted Illinois did not offer until January, and then really put on the full court press and was able to get him to stay home. Is this a huge loss for Wisconsin? You would look at the ratings and you would say probably not. He's like the 92nd ranked defensive lineman in the country. He's barely a top 1,000 recruit in the country. But when you go against another Big Ten team, especially one like Illinois, you want to win those matchups. But again, the dude is from Illinois. Brett Bielema should win more of these than he has. Wisconsin's taken a ton of kids out of Illinois the last few years, guys that had offers from Brett Bielema. Grant Steck, who's a 4-star tight end. Marion Dupree, who's going to be their lead running back this year, is from Illinois. Austin Brown is Fickle, but Bielema was there, and they beat them for him as well, and he's going to start this year. They got a 4-star recruit in Jalen Williams coming in, I guess here in the next week or so, or if he might already be here. They've beaten Illinois a bunch for Illinois guys of late. I wouldn't necessarily be freaking out about the loss of King Liggins other than not getting that name.
Not getting that name, and it's the fact that you lost him to a rival in the Big Ten. And then he's also joining, there's 2 guys, James Thompson Jr., and then who's the other one? Kurt Neal. So there's between transfers out of Wisconsin and then recruits that were also on Wisconsin's radar, that defensive line in Illinois is pretty darn sturdy. And Brett Bielema, I talked about this with Jesse yesterday. He just has an idea of what it takes to win in the Big Ten and how to go about it. And their schedule this year is really conducive to a great season. Like, that's a team that could potentially achieve at a really high level and maybe even be a playoff team, right, Zach?
You do it in Indiana. Be in Indiana.
Yeah, exactly.
Where you take advantage of a really bad schedule, play absolutely nobody, lose to the teams that are any good that you play against, and get in the playoff. So yeah, that's certainly something that they have an opportunity to do. Whenever you bring a quarterback, it's the 3rd year he's going to be there, right? So getting him back in the fold, they had a really good season last year, and they didn't. I don't know that they really necessarily beat anybody, right? But they got, like, what their schedule is last year and this year is just the opposite of what Wisconsin has to face. Which again, the Alabama game certainly sticks out, but the Big Ten do Wisconsin no favors with their conference schedule, and things ease up a little bit next year for Wisconsin. And you would hope that some of these other teams are having to play perhaps a similar tough schedule. I think the last time I saw it, Wisconsin has a 4th hardest schedule in the country.
One more thing on King Liggins, and I was telling Austin this the other day, and this is just a little bit of the way you think as a radio person. Had Wisconsin gotten this recruit, Zach, I don't know that I would have brought it up. I think it's a more compelling radio topic for them to lose him to a rival than to actually get him, because to your point, what is he like? Is he even a top 100 recruit in the country? Like, he's a 3-star. He's a fine player. You'd love to have him for the D-line.
He's barely a top 1,000 recruit in the country.
Okay, that's what I thought you said.
Yeah, he's a top 100 defensive lineman in the country, but he's barely a top 1,000 recruit in the country. Again, ratings don't matter. Wisconsin wanted him. They lost, right? Like, they wanted him. Wisconsin wanted him. I don't care what he was ranked. Wisconsin wanted him. Illinois came in late and got him to switch. And so that's a loss for Wisconsin. I'm just not going to freak out about it. I don't know if that's what Ben Kenny was doing. I don't get an opportunity to read him very often. So, but I don't think it's that big of a deal, but Wisconsin absolutely wanted him. So it is a loss.
Well, a bigger part of, let's say, the 2026 recruiting class. And I did read Ben Kenny's story about this, not because I sought it out, but because Ben, and I was telling Austin this yesterday, he has a real knack for getting his story to the top of your Google search. SEO, search engine optimization. I need Ben to do that for me. I want what he is doing for himself, for myself. Well, but he was writing about, go ahead.
Do you think he's doing that by himself?
I don't know. I don't know what Ben does these days.
I think it has a lot to do with the company he works for.
I don't even know who he works. I don't know who he works for. I don't know.
Gannett owns that.
Oh, Gannett. Oh, well, that's a name that I know. You're more of a journalist, so you're in the loop on more of these types of things.
I'm not saying that Ben's not doing a great job. I feel like there's some assist there in having in the company you work for, and the ability to push that stuff to the top.
He wrote about the 2026 class. Are we on track for a fine class, or is it time to worry about maybe how this class is shaping up? Jesse told us yesterday a lot of visits coming the next few weeks, so that's probably when we'll know more, or start to learn more, get a better picture.
Are we on track for a good class?
We are covering, Zach, we are journalists. We follow the team. Not we, I'm not on the team. We will get a better idea of their class. How does that sound?
So the last 2 years, top 25. I think it's 25 last year and maybe top 20 the year before. They are not probably going to be there unless they hit some home runs here in the next month or so. Right now, the class is ranked 43rd. They don't have a single 4-star commit in the class right now. And the last couple of years, they've obviously just been loaded in terms of 4-star recruits. So that it is a class that has some work to do. I will say that. And they have an opportunity. This is the May and throughout June is when you take all the official visits.
Yep.
Most of your class is going to be built here in the next 4 weeks. So there's a chance for it to go the other way. It's probably not going to reach what the previous classes have been. And, when you stroll the way they have on the field, I don't know that should be a huge surprise. But again, high school recruiting, while vitally important, still vitally important, not nearly as important as it used to be.
Zack Hyprin is here, our sports director, and you can hear him on the camp. And I want to ask about the camp, but very quickly as an aside, I just saw a graphic from 24/7 Sports. This edge rusher, defensive lineman from Chicago, Mikhail Blade, he's a 4-star. He just posted his top 7 schools. And I don't need this. No one needs this. Wisconsin, Purdue, Illinois, Stanford, USC, Michigan, Notre Dame. Just get back to us when you're down to 2 or 3, or just better yet, let us know when you've selected. Okay, I don't need the slow reveal like this is a competition show on Fox. You know what I mean?
I get what you're saying, and it also reminds me of the post after every one of these old man yell at the cloud rants by you is like of you in the studio when you're like 85.
Yeah, with the gray hair. We don't need the graphics. We don't need the graphics. We don't need the statements. You're not a government entity. You're not.
The dude has 25 offers, Grant. He is now down to 7 teams. That's a huge slice of teams off, right? So now, now speaking of big time recruits, he's a big time recruit. He would be a huge win for Wisconsin. I don't imagine it's going to happen, but he would be a huge win for Wisconsin. He's a top 20 defensive lineman in the country and one of the top 5 players in the state of Illinois. He's probably not going to choose Wisconsin, but now that would be a story.
Well, he has comments about all of his top 7 choices at 24/7, which I can't read because it's behind a paywall. That's fine. But 7 is so many. So Zach, at the camp, you've done an excellent job with Jesse. You did a positivity episode this week. So all the positive things, which I want to be very clear. Zach is a delightful human being. You're not a miserable, negative person. But I think you're very real. You are not someone who covers the team, looks to prop them up, blow smoke up everybody's butt. So how did this positivity episode come together? Maybe give us just a little taste, if you would.
Well, I mean, it came together because someone DM'd me saying, could you guys do a positive episode at some point?
Sure.
Because let's be fair about it. There's a lot of negativity around this program. There is a lot of, and after the first 2 years, it's very easy to be negative. And you go message boards, you go Twitter, you go Reddit, you go anywhere, there's a lot of negativity. And so I get it from that point of view, and hand up, been very negative. And you just look at that schedule like, oh God, this season's going to be horrible. And so I wanted to take a different look at it and see if everything went right, if everything that they hope happens, what's the best case scenario for them. So we went position by position. Billy Edwards, could he have a season where it's like 16, 17 touchdowns, 5 interceptions, like a John Stocco year, I believe is what Jesse said. And Darian Dupree and company, they get a 1,000-yard rusher, which they haven't had since 2021. Could that, you get the running game going, and all of a sudden play action game with some of the receivers that you have, then looks pretty good, could look pretty good. The offensive line all of a sudden comes together, it gels together, and it's opening up holes like the Wisconsin of old. The defensive line, you redid the entire defensive line, brought in all these 300-pounders. They stopped the run. They get after the passer on 3rd and long, and then you get some balls thrown up, and you let Ricardo Holman go up, get a pick. You get Preston Zachary, you get Nizer Forker, you make all these guys. If everything goes the way that the Badgers want it to go and the way it has gone in the past, perhaps you have a much better season than anybody's predicting right now. And so we went through the schedule, and you look at the first 2 games, which are you better win.
Yeah, right. You better stack those at the beginning. Yeah,
right. And you look at some of the rest of the schedule, and it kind of sets up tough. Like October's tough. Okay, the first two, you get Miami, Ohio, you get Middle Tennessee State. Better win those two, right? Then you get Alabama, probably not going to win that one. But you get Maryland at home. Then a very tough October with Michigan, Iowa, Ohio State, and Oregon. But after that, Washington, Indiana, Illinois, Minnesota. If you win the games that you're supposed to win, Middle Tennessee State, Miami, Ohio, Maryland, then you go and beat the teams that you normally have. Minnesota, Indiana. Again, Washington's not a team that you normally beat, but you've gone back and forth with Iowa. Mm-hmm. You're getting close to that 7 or 8 win mark, and then all of a sudden you're 8-4. And if you were 8-4, that would be a hell of a win and a hell of a season for Wisconsin. And maybe pull an upset. Maybe pull an upset one of those games in October where it's like you get Ohio State at home. They play Ohio State tough at home every single time. Every single game has been tough, right down, it's been a battle. I'll say that. So maybe that's the positive outlook. It's like 8-4, 9-3 is a possibility.
I mean, I would take that. I would lock that in today. So I'm going to listen to that. I'm going to listen to that episode this weekend. I'm going to kick back Memorial Day, 3-day weekend, maybe a nice cold beer. Maybe I'll release my list of top 7 beers that I'm thinking about drinking. Zach, do you think people would, and also, by the way, great conversations with fullbacks. I know a lot of Badgers fans are enjoying your conversations with some fullbacks. And that's something you're going to continue throughout the summer?
We are. We already talked to Matt Bernstein. We talked to him last week. Got Brady Ewing yesterday, which he was fantastic. He was on the field for a lot of big games in 2010 and 2011. Mason Stockey coming up next week. Thank you for that. He's your.
I do love Mason. Buddy. Menominee Mustang. So, yep.
I've already talked to him, so that's going to be coming out next week. And then, we've got some other guys planned throughout. The fullback's back, kind of.
The fullback is back.
It's kind of, right? Like it's not necessarily, there's no position, there's no one named fullback on the roster, but Jackson Akers is going to be their fullback and do a whole bunch of other stuff. So the fullback is back, and I thought it'd be a good idea to get some fun stories from those guys because they played a huge role over the last 25 years, 30 years.
I know a lot of Badgers fans will be excited about that as well. Zach, I appreciate your time. Thank you for coming on. A joy as always. Have a great, long Memorial Day weekend.
All right, Grant. Thank you very much.
That's Zack Hyprin. What a guy. Lucky to have him as our sports director, our guiding light, the flagship station, WOZN. So we appreciate Zach. I think the fullback is back in spirit and in theory. I don't know if it'll be back in practice because, again, Zach said, I don't think they have a specific fullback on the roster. There'll be guys playing fullback, and I think the tight end is certainly back, and the tight end will be deployed in a way that at times will basically be a fullback. But now we're splitting hairs and not something we necessarily need to do, especially on May 23rd. Austin, for our final segment coming up, we can just hit all of the different random things that maybe we thought we'd get today that we didn't get to today. I have a Bill Belichick little note that we can get to. Anything at all that you've seen go by on your timeline or that you had in mind that we haven't covered yet, we can get to that in our final segment. Last 10 minutes of the Bill Michaels Show coming up next.
Covering Wisconsin sports like a blanket. This is the Bill Michaels Show on the Wisconsin Sports Zone Radio Network.
The Big River Rally coming to La Crosse, Wisconsin, June 27th and 28th. Don't miss the excitement on the main stage Friday night. It's Texas Hippie Coalition. And Saturday night Drowning Pool. Tickets are on sale now. Want more? Follow Big River Rally on social or go to BigRiverRally.com.
When having new Pella windows and doors installed at your home, you get the full Pella experience. That means we're with you from start to finish. Our team doesn't disappear after the work is done. Just like with Vinny, your Pella experience starts with a free in-home consultation.
It was really comfortable kitchen table chat. We knew Pella was going to get it right the first time, and they designed a project with us. They didn't just replace our windows and doors.
With customizations driving limitless possibilities, Our Pella experts truly listen to your vision, just as we did with Nicole.
I felt like they really listened to us. There's so many options that are available. So it was nice to have someone narrow those down, offer some suggestions, and they made sure that the design was what we wanted.
Don't wait any longer, because right now at Pella Windows and Doors of Wisconsin, get 0% financing for up to 6 years. Visit PellaWI.com today.
Certain restrictions apply. It's 5/31/2025.
Bill Michaels will resume in 3 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 2 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 1 minute. Bill Michaels will resume in 30 seconds.
I would swallow my pride, I would choke on the rhymes, but the lack thereof will make me empty inside. I would swallow my doubt, turn it inside out, find nothing but faith in nothing.
Bill Michaels Show, last couple minutes. Appreciate you listening today. Zack Hyprin and Cody Stutes joining throughout the program, so appreciate them. And thanks to everyone who's been over on the cheap seats, watching on the live stream, YouTube, Facebook, Twitch, Twitter, LinkedIn, Kick, all the other platforms that Bill broadcasts this fine program every day. Austin, I don't know what you're doing after the show. I'm going to get a hot dog right when 2 o'clock hits. I'm going to head around the corner to see our friends at Quick Trip. Get one hot off the roller, fresh bun, maybe a fountain drink to go with. I got my coffee. Plenty of coffee still left over from this morning, but at least one hot dog is in my future. That's
for sure.
Excellent marketing from the folks at Oscar Mayer. Have you followed this Bill Belichick, Jordan Hudson story at all?
Not a ton. I know it was following, or like, there were some things with concerns within the program that she wouldn't be allowed to. I don't know the details. If you could give me a quick recap.
Well, there's like little details every week. So if it's not your thing, like you just don't care. I just think it's insane that someone who was the greatest football coach of my lifetime and probably thought of as a top 3 coach of all time, some would have him 1, some would have him a little bit lower,
is in this situation. I think it's just
it's definitely an interesting one. And no, I don't even know if it's set in my mind that I'm going to turn on college football on Saturday this fall, and I'm going to see Bill Belichick on the sidelines of a North Carolina game.
Yeah.
I just don't know if that's set in. That is unreal.
So basically the latest in this story, and I've followed this, it's been like my hobby story on the side to just kind of keep track of. So Pablo Torre, who used to be on ESPN, and he still might be, I guess I don't know fully, but he does a story or a podcast or a series called Pablo Torre Finds Out. I think he's one of the best journalists in the world. He's unbelievable at digging stuff up and finding information. He tracked down the owners of the Airbnb where that original, do you remember the video that came out about Bill Belichick shirtless on a ring cam?
Yeah.
So they own the house. And so they met Jordan Hudson and they talked to Pablo Torre for this. And they basically, when they saw the video, thought that she was in danger because they didn't know who Bill Belichick was. And they're like, well, this guy must be a drug dealer. He must be a criminal because why else? Right? Like, why else would this be going on? I cannot help but consume every single little bit of information from this. This story is doing it for me right now. And also, I am completely and totally all the way back in on the Ocean Gate story from 2 summers ago. Remember the submarine? Because Netflix has now announced they're coming out with a documentary about it.
Nice.
Oh, now
that'll be interesting, actually.
My heart breaks for those that were on the sub. So I understand this comes across as a little insensitive. Probably my favorite 2 or 3 days on the internet all time. Not close. Look, what an unbelievable, captivating story.
That was a time to be alive.
And I think a lot of it was crap because if you talk to people who work in that business or are familiar with that, they're like, no, there was never a chance they were getting found. As soon as they lost communication, it blew up. And everyone's like, well, they have, 90 hours of oxygen left or 48. They were never going to find him. Right. So I think some of that was manufactured, but what an incredible 48 hours on social media that was. So I'm going to watch that documentary the day that it comes out. Hopefully Bill will be in it. Wouldn't that be crazy? Yeah. Now, every time I turn on something on Netflix.
Let's just get any Netflix. He's got the foot in the door.
Exactly. Now that he's got his foot in the door, what other things can we make a documentary about? So yeah, I don't remember. I saw the trailer. I guess I could look it up real quick, but I don't remember when it's coming out, but I will watch that the day it comes out. Another Netflix documentary. 1 episode is good. I don't need the full series. It premieres June 11th. Hell yeah. Oh, I can't wait. Okay, so Bill will be back on Tuesday. We're now off for a 3-day weekend. Obviously, Memorial Day is remembering those who have fallen in service to the country. So, of course, we remember and we recognize and we respect those individuals. Be nice to... I'm going to go out and play some really bad golf tomorrow. Austin, any plans for the long weekend?
I'm going out tomorrow with friends, just hitting the town of Madison. That's about it. Probably double watch the Cubs and Brewers today because I want to watch Peralta Skeens.
Excellent. Peralta Skeens tonight. I will tell you more about that on this evening's program, the Wisco Sports Show from 4 to 6. For those who are interested, for the rest of us and for the rest of you, until we talk again, I don't know how many hours from now, but it'll be a while because it'll be Tuesday. Have a good one. Have a good weekend. See ya.